do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Oh man. There we go. Wednesday night, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, but we're here for you. It's the Mark Order Podcast on the Shining Wizards Network. Episode 48. Jesus Christ, we're getting close to 52, which means it's almost been a year.
That's right.
KTG's here. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Ryan Schlong is up in the corner. What's going on, Ryan?
Hello.
I'm sorry I sound flustered. I had to restart everything, and I'm pulling up all my windows, and it's a lot of fun, you know? Eric F., hello. What do you mean, you people? I don't know if I like that.
It's a heel turn.
It is sort of a heel turn.
That is a WWE heel promo right there, my friend.
You people.
You people.
If that's a WWE reference, I honestly don't know if I understand it. But
That's a Kate
okay.
reference. That's the style promo I give.
Uh-huh.
You people.
Kate, do you notice the fade? Hey, I put the fade on.
I know. It doesn't. I'm starting to miss it now.
I like to toot
Like,
my own horn when the little things work. I couldn't get my camera to work. I couldn't get my goddamn mic to work. I lost all my stuff I had open, but we're good now. Okay, I've recovered everything.
We're rocking. We're rolling.
Yeah. How's everything going with everybody?
Oh, I am tired. I almost accidentally logged into the Fightful StreamYard to start the show, which would have been, not where I was supposed to be. A few different levels.
We get it. I know.
Very
You're
accidentally.
like the second favorite. I know.
I went to log in and was like, that's not right.
Wrong night.
But I am good. What a heater of episodes we've been on for like the past 3 weeks, man. Like, this is another one of those weeks where it was just like, I looked at my clock and I was like, how is it 9:27 already or whatever? I just couldn't believe it. And then I kept forgetting that we still had Danielson and Garcia to close this thing out.
It was also like
one of those.
It was also like, hey, it's 10 o'clock. Do they know what time it is? Jesus.
Yeah.
Getting really nervous there.
We've got a Mrs. Money in the chat saying that she told you that the computer was acting up, Mr. Money.
She did tell me that it was the like a memory issue. I didn't know that it would have affected the other items that I had up, like the microphone and the camera, but it's working now. I had to restart and scramble, but we're good. I
too have memory issues sometimes, and
well, my other issue is that I feel like I've been working. I feel like it's been an 80-hour work week already, and it's 2 days into the week because we were off Monday. So,
true. Gotta love those punishment vacation days where you just get killed the next day.
Well, if I can let you into my real gig without giving up too much, because I don't like to give up too much. I'm down 2 people on my team. So we've been dealing with that. And this week, my boss went out sick because his entire family is sick, with the vid. So I've been basically doing the work of like 8 people, even though it's only 3, plus all my own stuff. So it's been a very long week. It's been late nights, early mornings. So I'm feeling a little euphoric tonight. I'm happy to be here.
I'm sure a little relief.
Unlike Millionaire Matt, who gets to, as Metallica said, drift off to Never Never Land. Yeah, Millionaire Matt is going sweepy by because he has a really late night tonight, right? Something like that. He's doing like an overnight thing.
I think an early morning tomorrow. I think it's like a 5 a.m. gig, which if you're in the Northeast, you know he got the shit end of that stick because today was like 65 and gorgeous, and tomorrow's supposed to be like 30 degrees and windy. So fun day to be out on the pizza truck, but yeah, he is resting up.
He's getting a sweepy by. I do have to say, Rob Humphrey, Matt does like us.
Does he?
I'm pretty sure I do. I used to think he didn't, and then I think I said something to him one night. I'm like, yeah, I get it, blah blah blah. And he's like, do you really think I want to miss wrestling and then fool around on a podcast after watching wrestling, for having to be standing outside in the freezing weather? And
okay,
I was like, you know what? You're kind of right.
But here's the thing: is he, or is he playing with his guys? Like, he says he's going to work, you know what I mean? But like, do you think he's got a lot of action figures and only one set is in the box? I'm just saying, you know.
He does have one to rock, one to stock. Yeah, it's very
I think he watches the episode of Dynamite and then is like, sometimes I'll podcast, but other times I'm going to reenact the episode move by move with my guys.
You know, I think, and that's a good point. He can certainly reenact a lot of this with his guys.
Yeah,
I mean, we're at the point now where you've got enough guys to reenact what you're seeing on TV.
And he has cruise director Mike, as well as multiple variations of some figure. So he even gets like, we didn't really get cruise director Mike tonight, but we got back to a much more tasteful version of Jericho, in my opinion. But we'll get into all that. How are you, fellas? You're tired. It's been a long work week. We're here to talk wrestling. Life is good.
Schlong's been quiet. What's going on, Schlong?
Well, I need to go back and forth about Matt and his.
Do you have some fun villains in your background?
I told you I pick random tag teams. They got the win this week.
It's very random.
I feel like that's just so. I feel like that's too modern.
Like, I think that's what threw me off. Yeah, normally it's like old, like 80s random tag teams. This is a much newer age random tag team.
But they're from like pre NXT 1.5 even.
That's fair.
They're like NXT 1.25.
And their gimmick is like very old. So if you average them out.
I mean, usually it's like, Ryan, you're kind of lately, because at first you were sort of dabbling in the 80s obscurity, right? There were a lot of those obscure 80s tag teams, maybe early 90s. And then I think you kind of jumped to right between like the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, which is kind of that void that everybody that void where everybody goes, I wasn't watching then. You know what I mean? Like, Kate, yes, you're raising your hand. Nobody can see.
Was that like when I got in? Like, was 09 or was that Ruthless? I guess that was between Ruthless Aggression and PG era, I guess, more, right?
I honestly have no idea, because I can tell you pretty easily that from not too far past the Attitude Era, I probably dropped out and then picked it back up between, I'll say 2004 and 2006, because I was in college. Now I'm giving you my age. And a bunch of the guys who I used to hang around with, who, you know, we all had houses and stuff, but some had larger houses than others, would get the pay-per-views, and we would, or they would, I should say, because it wasn't my house. They would take 2 couches on rare occasions 3, they would stadium seat their couches. So
that seems very dangerous.
It was, because it was like once you got on the stadium level couch, like the higher one, it was suggested you don't get off because it was sitting on cinder blocks and not all the way around, just where the feet were. So you only had 4 cinder blocks,
Man.
and it was suggested you don't get off and you don't move around too much because the cinder blocks were not new.
I miss college where you were just like, yeah, but I'm immortal, right? Like, I was pretty well behaved for a college kid even, but I just like think, like, I would never be like, oh, you know what? It's 2 a.m. Driving to Dunkin' Donuts in Newark is probably safe. Like, just the shit that I did, which was not like, I wasn't like insanely drunk and doing stuff or anything like that, but I'm just like, man, the innocence of being a college kid with no regard for like any safety. Stadium seating on cinder blocks.
I will say probably the 2 best wrestling adjacent things that happened in college was in that same time period, 04 to 06. The pay-per-views where they used to stadium seat the couches, and then we would gamble, just in the room on different shit. How many chair shots during this pay-per-view, how many interruptions, blah, blah, blah. Like somebody would just pull together a sheet and then we would just gamble. The second best thing was same house. They were having a party one night and everything kicked and nobody was leaving. Like they were like, all right, people, let's go. Time to go. Like the music was cut, like everything. Lights were coming on. Nobody was leaving. So the one kid goes, hold on, I'll be right back. And he goes into, I don't know, his room or the basement or something like that. And he just comes back and he goes, hey, whoever, just take this cup and like wander out into the middle of the living room and just have your hood up. So he does that. He walks into the middle of the living room or wherever everybody is. And then the kid who was in his bedroom comes running out with a light tube and smashes it over this other kid's back, who he said, hey, go to the middle of the living room. I guess they had this worked out. But that happened, and I've never seen so many people scramble at once. And I think the kid who they obviously worked him, but he was yelling something like, get the fuck out of my house. You can't take my shit, just whatever to get people scared and leave, and everybody fucking left.
Easy dub.
So that was pretty amazing. But yes, you're right, Kate. Those invincible days of we can do whatever. If I fall off a cinder block, it's couch, it's cool. Especially backwards.
Not great. Not great. I did want to call out Kevin saying Dunkin' Donuts in Newark. He went to Seton Hall. There's a Dunkin' Donuts right by the train station. Not 24 hours, Kevin. All right? I never went to Dunkin' Donuts at a normal person time.
I mean, there's also there's a 24-hour. Yeah, I guess that Newark one was probably the closest one. I was going to be like, you could have gone to West Orange. Not much better, but better than Newark.
Yeah, it was like a 12 to 3 DJ shift situation at SOD. Yeah, we're going to Newark to get some Dunkin', but my goodness.
I will also say, Eric F., is every Jersey resident a Kevin Smith fan? I don't know. I think a lot are. But I know plenty of New Jersey people, I think, who are not necessarily fans of his.
Yeah, I don't think that's... I was going to say universal to New Jersey, but universal would imply the whole universe. So
and Orlando.
And Orlando, that's a very good point.
Ryan also misses money saying, I'm reminiscing about vaudevillains and missing Rusev Day, and I can attest to the fact she did in fact have an official Rusev Day calendar, and every day it said Rusev Day. That was a real item.
That was a merch thing?
That was.
I didn't know that.
When they actually used to do merch stuff that made sense to, like, what was happening, even though I think that came a little late in Rusev Day, it still came. Do they have capes yet for whoever the superhero is, female.
Oh, Nikki ASH, who was a champion for 6 weeks. They had no merch for her, and then they got her merch after she dropped the title. I don't think they have that. I think it's just t-shirts, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
They're a mess over there. I would also say that AEW doesn't like kill it in the merch department overall. Like, I think a lot of their designs are shoddy, but they happen. So that's a step up.
Yeah, they definitely do a ton of t-shirts and clearly the figures.
Yes.
I don't know what else they have. Like, do they have like mugs or other type of tchotchkes like that? I mean,
I think because it's print on demand, you can get it on like
whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like the same design, but on a bunch of different stuff, essentially.
Interesting. Well, I don't know. Every time they do a goddamn flash sale on like PWT, I'm like, oh, I gotta get my shirts now, and I never order the goddamn shirts.
I always miss it by like 2 days. I see the coupon, I feel like, but
like yesterday they had their thing. I don't know what it was for President's Day. Was it 20% or 15 or whatever? It would have been worth
20. Yeah.
And
it basically knocks off the shipping.
Yeah, well, but I have gift card codes I have to use.
Oh.
So it's like I'm waiting to maximize the bang for my buck, but I'm always like, yeah, I'll get it, and I never do. I got to get that goddamn Brody King shirt.
Brody. Your Nightmare Family one is a collector's item now, my friend.
That's not even a Nightmare Family. That's a Ring of Honor. That's a.
Oh, is it really? I don't think I knew that.
What Nightmare Family one? Yeah. The Cody one?
Correct.
Yeah. That's a Bullet Club Ring of Honor era.
Oh, I don't think I realized that about it.
Oh, hell yeah. That's a Bullet Club pizza merch.
Only now there's so many figures to be made now that there's no Cody.
It's true that frees up like 7 spots for the year.
Or you continue to make the Cody figures because they're classic Codys.
That's true.
He's classic Cody.
Does he get included in the
way with it? They would.
Does he get included in the video game? I want to know.
I don't know. Listen, I'll say this much. I saw one promo towards the end of that show tonight, and people, we're going to get to Dynamite. Don't worry. We'll get there. I saw one promo for the Go Big show, and they like seemingly pulled him out of every promo for the Go Big show. I saw one clip of him, and it was just him sitting there, not saying anything. And I feel like that promo used to be heavy on Cody. They pulled him out of that. That's for sure.
He is no longer a network darling.
He is persona non grata with Turner, I guess.
The Go Big show has gone dark on Cody Rhodes.
Well, I don't think the show's coming back, so no worries there. But that show was sort of like I feel like it was sort of like a COVID era special, right? Like even this year's, right? Like, so I remember when it first came out, they were like, the whole thing was that you didn't have to, like, there weren't a whole crowd of people, right? It was like they were going to do it in this big outdoor or indoor venue and people were going to be outside, right? And that was kind of like the thing. And then having it this year like that seemed very weird because, like, we're sitting in arenas together. So obviously Cody's a part of that. I don't know how the ratings have been. I can see them just being like, this kind of doesn't even make sense anymore, so let's just kill it. But listen,
the show away. They took the show away.
Did any of you guys watch any of it?
I watched about 12 minutes of it, and it was fucking terrible.
I'm about the same, but I don't watch any. To be honest, I don't watch any of those shows. Like, I don't watch America's Got Talent.
Yeah,
I did the same thing with first of all, what I thought that they axed the America's Got Talent Extreme Edition because I thought somebody got really hurt. So I thought they were doing away with that, but it's on. I did the same thing with that. Like, I turned it on for like 10 minutes to catch the vibe, and I was like, this is dumb. And I did the same thing with the Go Big show. Here's what I don't understand about any of it. Everything somebody does, they're like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Can you believe we're here live witnessing this in front of our eyes? And it's like a dude stepping off of a like a high dive and just jumping into a pool. Like, okay. Like,
yeah, it's pretty underwhelming from what I saw.
Kate, would you call it mid or less than?
Ooh. I think at its best, it's mid. At its best. Like peak Big Show.
I will also say, I don't think that show's for us. I think there is a part of
Correct.
this. I think there's a part of this, I guess, wonderful country that show is meant for, and it is not us.
That is a very, very fair point.
We're over, well, wrong camera. We're over here. There's another side over here. And see where the gap is? Where my head is? I think that's where that show's meant for.
You think?
I think. And maybe
Midwest, perhaps?
And maybe down here.
I don't have
on the bottom here.
Maybe towards the south a little bit.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like in Florida, they're like, I see that shit every day. Like people are just like fighting alligators and eating them. Like,
hello, Google. Just put Florida man into your Google and see what pops up. It's amazing. It's it's like one of those games. Just type in Florida man and see what the results are. Asian Joe, we will not leave the Midwest out of this. We didn't even say Midwest. We just said mid, all of the country.
I might have said Midwest.
Oh,
it said Midwest for sure.
Right. I'm trying to help Kate. Ryan's burying Kate. He's like, fuck her.
I'm throwing her right under the bus.
Wow.
She's attacking them.
All right.
Oh, man.
I'll just go fuck myself. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Listen, I've seen your love of that TikTok making fun of the Philly accent. So you know what? I'm coming at you.
I'm having fun on the old TikTok.
Kate, I have to say this. As we were trying to figure out the one chip challenge thing, which we should probably recap here because they talked about it on the Monday show. But during the one chip challenge, we were trying to figure out where do we do this, because of course Matt heard about it before it was going down. Nobody told me, or else I would have been like, we're gonna put it out there that this is happening tonight, and we'll
of course.
Fucking idiots, don't tell me it's happening. So we were trying to figure out, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm, I scroll through or whatever, or video plays, and I just kind of clicked to the next one, and I didn't know. Like I said, I don't get TikTok because all I get in this feed, and I don't watch any videos on TikTok. I open it and I go to put our thing in, and then I get out. Like I don't use it. All it is big ass and big breasted ladies, like just jiggling it for a minute, and Matt was like, duh.
What do you have against that?
I mean, personally nothing, but like I'm just like, I don't get how this algorithm works. And then Matt was like, idiot, here's how you stop it, and like Matt showed me, so like I did it, and then the next video to pop up was you, Kate. I was immediately like, I don't want to see any more of that.
You're like not interested in it.
Not interested. But I will say this, Kate, I did check out some of what's on your profile. You got to branch out a little bit, Kate. You got to do less of the lip syncing. You got to do more of the ass shaking. That's my suggestion.
I'm not doing foot stuff on there. I'm not doing dances on there. My views are great. My highest viewed thing is from last Wednesday promoting the show, which made me very happy. But the lip syncing is just the easiest thing in the world. I am gonna work on building it out because I've accepted, whether I want to or not, that I am a brand.
You've got to shake your ass, Kate. You don't have to show the goods, but you just got to turn around, shake that ass a little bit, and you watch your numbers go through the roof. I'm telling you, some of those things that popped up, I was like, this has to be somebody in the business. And I look at it, and it's nope. It's just
it's just
a mom.
It's just a mom. It's just a mom. It's just a mom of two kids and shaking her ass.
Here's the other thing that I find really crazy about TikTok is, and you know what? I sound old and I'm okay with it. Here's the other crazy thing about TikTok.
Don't start kids.
Fucking kids. So thankfully, I haven't gotten sucked into a QAnon black hole. So I'm still okay, people. I'm still okay. But the lizard people, that's a whole different thing. No, what's crazy, Kate, is the amount of like pimple popping shit that's on there.
Oh, it's so gross.
And then the other thing that I find an insane amount of on there is like the women who put themselves up with no makeup and then do their whole makeup and then you see the finished result. And I'm talking in some cases, it's like I saw one that came up like when I opened it up. She had like no teeth. And then at the end of it, she looked like a fucking supermodel. And I was like, this can't be real. And then I actually stopped and like watched one of them. And the amount of makeup some of these ladies use, I'm like, God damn, got very lucky with Mrs. Money, because some of these other ladies, if I ever, had spent
It's
an
a
evening with them,
catfish. Yeah.
100%. If I had ever spent the evening with them and then woke up the next morning and saw what the reality was, I'd be like, "Who are you? You don't look. They don't look anything the same." Also, the insane amount of layers of makeup.
That's what it is, because there's even some people who are beautiful with like a natural look, and then they do their makeup, and I'm like, you don't look the same. You didn't even look bad beforehand, but you don't look like the same person. Like,
No.
What happened to who you are?
It's crazy. There was one, though, that was very funny that I noticed early on. It was this, I guess, lady from Boston or Massachusetts somewhere. And she's doing her makeup, Kate, and she's like really starting to look like a supermodel. Although some of the contouring, some of the rouge on the cheeks, a little much. But I can say this. The funniest part of it was that during the whole thing, she was speaking with such a heavy New England accent. It was like, I'm using the good fucking, whatever.
Royale, yeah.
Get the cat. I'm going out. I gotta get my mascara or whatever they fucking do. It was hilarious. Like the voice didn't match the exterior. It was hilarious for me. But yeah, those are the two things that I don't understand about TikTok. I get like ASMR. I get the artwork stuff. Like I've seen that kind of stuff. Like people doing like a 5-minute drawing, or tagging stuff. What like spray painting, all that. Totally get. The amount of pimple popping.
Oh,
is
so
just
gross.
crazy.
And Matt loves that stuff. Matt will do an ass shaking dance, or at least take his shirt off. So there's that for you guys.
I think we have him shirtless already on the TikTok when we went to Baltimore at the baseball game.
Good times.
Anywho, should we finally break into some sort of wrestling here?
Oh, sure.
Let's get to it. So, why don't we talk a little bit about Rampage, because Rampage featured a debut this week. We don't have to go through everything. Let's run down the card and the results, and then we can talk about whatever. Rampage Friday night, pre-taped, kicked off with Adam Cole versus the Dark Order's 10. Adam Cole wound up defeating 10, and celebrated with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly afterwards. The Redragon, if you will. We also had Dante Martin versus Powerhouse Hobbs in the Face of the Revolution qualifying match. Believe it or not, I was shocked. Powerhouse Hobbs over Dante Martin. That was the third big man up until that point that made it into the match. We'll talk. Jade Cargill, set up a match with the Bunny that we saw tonight. Serena Deeb had a 5-minute challenge against Angelica Risk, and of course, Deeb came out on top. And then we had our I want to call it Millionaire Matt's wet dream debut of the night. Jay White versus Trent Beretta. Of course, Jay White is not going to lose in his debut against Trent Beretta. And then afterwards, Jay White continues in on Trent, and Orange Cassidy gets in the ring, and they stare down each other. End of the show. So, let's see. Where do we want to go first? Anybody want to talk about anything particular? Kate, you lit up when we talked about, I don't know, Dante Martin and Powerhouse Hobbs, or maybe Matt's wet dream match of the night.
Hot throw, baby, let's go. Yeah, I thought. So we had speculated at Fight Club, would it be like an all Haas ladder match? Because that's something we haven't seen before and something that the AEW roster is capable of. We got an answer to that tonight, and the answer is no. Especially with Samoa Joe out there being a possibility to enter this thing. Like, that could be really fun. You would just see ladders flying everywhere. But that I thought was a really good showing for Hobbs in general. I really liked that match. And then I thought the main event was just fantastic. Jay White looked so good. And you could tell that they were familiar with each other. Trent has looked so great since coming back as well. But just this was a really nice introduction for people who were unfamiliar with Jay White to see what he's about. Because just some great in-ring moves there. And like the psychology was just really strong. He just had a lot of really clever moves. So I really liked it. Is my audio breaking up for anybody other than Eric? Is it breaking
It's not
up for
breaking
you
up.
too? Okay.
Not for me. You might be coming in a little hot though, Kate. That's
It's
all
the
I have.
buds. It's
All
the
good.
buds.
Oh, it's the bud. So I'll say this. I don't know if you guys. Whoa. I don't know if you guys. It was you clicking. All of a sudden, it was like.
You go, whoa.
I don't know if you guys recognized it or picked it up during the Jay White match, but he looked like he was wrestling, looking over his shoulder the whole time, probably looking out for a crazy millionaire Matt trying to come say hello, but chickened out at the last second.
Yeah, he was like, "Is Mr. Triple Clutch in the crowd? Because I can't handle that."
No. I'll continue to tell the real story on that. Matt froze. He was not. I repeat, he was not in the bag. He was fine. He had all his wits about him. He just froze. He got starstruck. He saw his favorite of all time. I think he wanted to maybe even rub on his beard a little bit. But, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean that qualifying match, like Ryan, did you think that it was going to go to Hobbs? Because I swear, I was like, there's no way they're going to put Hobbs in this with two other giant guys in this already. Like I just thought they were going to get Dante Martin into it because Dante Martin would just fucking fly all over the place.
Dante seemed like the obvious choice because Dante in a ladder just seems to make sense. However, some part of me was like, are they well, we'll speak of that tonight. For a little while, I was like, are they really going for the all big man ladder match? I mean, now you have three of them. But yeah, I kind of for a little while thought that it had to be Dante, the guy who could fly around. It means they must have another plan for him. Or the only other thing is Dante in a match with two other giant big guys in a ladder could end up making him just look like a piñata being thrown, like bashed around with ladders. And think they don't want to punish him with that one. I don't know. It was a unique choice. I don't want to say bad or wrong, just unique. I don't think I've ever seen a ladder match with this much size in it. God knows I hope they have good ladders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited to see Hobbs in it. It just definitely seemed like this was going to be a no-brainer for Dante Martin. And Dante Martin will surely be involved in another match like this at some point and just destroy it. But at this point in the week, when we just had Keith Lee, Wardlow, and now Powerhouse Hobbs, I was like, fuck yeah. I mean, ladders will be flying. People will be flying through ladders. I mean, it just has so much potential. So I was all in on that. And I guess because we were talking about Jay White, we should, Kate, I'm with you. I thought that was a fantastic first showing for an audience that the AEW audience may be, in on who Jay White is and what he can do. But for a broader audience who may just be checking it out on a Friday night, who doesn't know who Jay White is, this was a good first match. And I think the perfect opponent for him. One, because they have history, but two, just Trent can fucking work.
Yeah, I think the familiarity between the two of them was very helpful because, as we know, Trent is in the important chaos for starters, but there is a history between the two of them. very familiar with each other. And I've just been so impressed by Trent since he's come back. Like, it's pretty amazing when these guys come back without any real ring rust on them. It's been pretty shocking. And he was out for a really long time, but he came back so diesel. Like, he looks so jacked. And I think they just stylistically worked really well. But I just was impressed by how clever some of the spots were with Jay White, and that whatever leg screw thing he did at the end was ridiculous. Just like a lot of really, really fun stuff. And we'll talk about, I'm sure, what happened on Impact's pay-per-view, because there's so many storyline implications that have to do with the Bullet Club. We'll probably talk about that later, but this whole week just got so loaded. It feels like Keith Lee's debut was 6 years ago, and it was 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I guess, to today. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a good problem, I guess, when you have a debut like Keith Lee and it feels like forever ago. Rob Humphrey, Goldberg's deal is up. Maybe TK can bring him in for the ladder match too. No thanks. I think everybody wants to keep their head in this match. They'll take a note out of Brett's book. Schlong, we know you hate bearded Jay White, but did you like this match?
I just think he's better shaved because we have a lot of bearded men out there, so let's make him different.
I just wanted to say you hated something. That's all I wanted to do.
That's true. That's
You're entitled to your opinion.
Matt not being here isn't as fun to trash Jay White, because that's where I really like to turn the knife. He was a great match, and like you guys said, Trent was the perfect opponent. I think from my point of view, I'm one of those people who, like, I know who he is. Matt has hyped him up enough that I know he should be good. But as of right now, I have mid-level excitement.
Whoa.
Because I just don't like. For me, he's not a guy like that guy. As not a New Japan follower, he's just. I need to see where it goes for me to get excited. Like, him being there isn't enough for me to pop. Whereas, like, for Matt, who loves him so much, Matt has a better appreciation or understanding of like what he can do. For me, it's just like, yeah, good wrestler. They have like 1,000 of them in the company.
You know, excuse me, Jay White. I think he does so well. I mean, he's a really, really good wrestler, but I think what is a sign of maybe like great wrestler, right, is the fact that everything he does looks super violent,
yes,
painful, and everything he takes he makes look super violent and painful. I mean, it's just after those matches, I'm just like, I don't know how he's still walking around, but like, he's just selling the shit out of it. It's just, I mean, Matt, the one match I remember when we were talking about Jay White like 2 weeks ago after Atlantic City. I think Matt had tweeted out a couple of suggestions for Jay White matches for anybody who doesn't know who he is. I would certainly, the one off that I had certainly seen, and you can go on YouTube, the full match isn't there, but somebody, cut together like clips along with a song or something like that. They put it to music. It was the Jay White, Kenny Omega IWGP US title match in New Japan. Just a
ridiculous.
An amazing goddamn match. And that's where everything kind of broke down with the Bullet Club afterwards, so or with the Elite afterwards. So definitely check that one out if you don't know who it is. But I thought, yeah, a strong first showing for the Switchblade in AEW. But Kate, you are right. I did want to at least bring up what happened at Impact's pay-per-view. Figured this was a good kind of segue spot. So the Bullet Club leader, Jay White, betrayed the Guerrillas of Destiny. That's Tama Tonga and Tangaloa at the No Surrender. I guess it wasn't a pay-per-view. It was like a special. The Guerrillas of Destiny were competing against the Good Brothers for the World Tag Team Championship. And then basically, Jay White turned on his Bullet Club brothers. So an interesting turn of events for Jay White. But basically, this is a good thing, I think, in my mind, because it's something for people to sort of pay attention to, especially people in America, right? Because the Bullet Club is so focused in Japan and New Japan that this was really the first time I think the Bullet Club had extended exposure. I mean, I know with Ring of Honor and stuff years ago, with the Elite, but it's not really the same, right? So I think that this is the first time there was something for people to sort of start paying attention to and care about. I didn't watch the whole show, so I can't really comment on it, but I did read about kind of him turning. And he also to add to that, afterwards, he retweeted the Impact video and just added Young Bucks at Young Bucks to the comments. So it was very funny. And the reactions to both were fantastic. Tama Tonga reacted, "Can't trust nobody." And then the Young Bucks, their bio said, "Never really cared for Tama anyway, to be honest," with a laughing emoji. So it was announced, though, that Switchblade's going to get a chance to work Impact again, a Saturday, March 5th on Impact Plus and Impact Insiders on YouTube. Jay White will fight Alex Shelley. That's No Surrender, or I'm sorry, Sacrifice, not No Surrender. Jay White versus Alex Shelley. So should be interesting. I mean, I haven't watched a whole lot of Impact lately. Kate, does this get you going? Are you excited for this sort of storyline?
If I'm gonna be shaking my ass on TikTok, it's because I'm so excited about something like this. Impact's actually killing it lately. I'm still a casual viewer of it, but the ROH invasion stuff is one of the better invasion angles that I've seen. I think because of how one-sided it is. Like, nobody at ROH has anything to lose really right now, so it's just kind of fun. And this Bullet Club angle has been great. I think sometimes they are unpredictable as a detriment to themselves, but right now it feels like they're kind of unpredictable and they have a really good handle on things. Jay White versus Alex Shelley is going to be incredible. And it's fun to see. And like you pointed out, like, I think the Bullet Club having extended exposure in America after the difficulty that the past year and a half, 2 years has presented for New Japan, I think it's something that's very healthy and very smart. And I think there's a lot of people that know that the Bullet Club is something that's like legendary in wrestling, but aren't very familiar. So this is a really great way for them to get familiar. So Ant rocking his Bullet Club gear over there for those of you listening in podcast form. But they literally, like, I get compliments on the Bullet Club stuff I wear all the time just because the brand is cool. So they just really do a good job on that side too. Mark Gaypape saying Bullet Club is fine, taking a page out of the Bussy book, which I appreciate. But yeah, I'm excited for this, and it's just really fun having a landscape where people are working together. And it doesn't seem like Impact and AEW ended on bad terms by any means if they're still doing this type of stuff. Though it is interesting that Don Callis came over from Impact and disappeared. I guess he's just backstage now. But maybe he'll come back with Kenny, I guess. But yeah, it's good to see. It's I think very healthy for wrestling. Tony Khan keeps teasing this big announcement, much to my dismay. Just make an announcement, but. If that's some sort of supercard, I think that would be really, really fun. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm intrigued, and with most wrestling companies outside of WWE, I'm willing to give it room to pay off, because more often than not, those things do get paid off. There's certainly instances where they don't, but for the most part, if they're investing time into something, there's going to be an end game. So I don't think they would be casual with something as important as the Bullet Club on American television.
Schlong, I do have an important question to you that was posed from our good buddy Asian Joe. What if Jay White had a goatee?
While I respect the goatee, obviously, my point being is now it is changing a little bit. So maybe if he keeps it, but for a long time now, there's been a lot of bearded wrestlers, and he just blended in with all these bearded wrestlers, where without it, he looked different. And I just thought that was a unique look is good every now and again.
Well, your point is valid, although I disagree. And I think Matt does too.
I appreciate that we have Matt, who is obsessed with wrestlers' hair, and now we have facial hair critique as well from Ryan.
That's right.
And I have a ring gear hang up. We're going to have to pick something for you, Ant. Danglies, maybe? Is it like an accessories?
Unfortunately,
Are you the accessories guy?
I feel like the danglies thing is, well, no, it's still alive with the Young Bucks, but we had a dangly Good Brother Summer, which was just to die for.
We really did.
I'm hoping we get another one at some point, but yeah, I mean, we'll figure something out for me. We'll figure something out. I'm sure I'll be picky about something.
We'll find it.
My only beef with Impact, and I think this is good, something good to keep an eye on with Impact. My only problem is, and we've said it before, it's not accessible, right? Like it's not on.
Yes, it's a pain in the ass.
It's not on Twitch anymore, and that's how I used to watch. I used to watch it on Twitch because it was free, and now I don't have that, so I don't watch it. So it sucks, but if you really want it that bad, you can certainly find it. I don't have enough hours in the day, man. I don't know how Millionaire Matt does it. Watching all the shit he does.
I have no idea.
He's like, I got to catch up on the last 3 weeks. And then he'll sit down in one day and be like, so I'm caught up on the last 3 weeks. I'm like, what the fuck did you do?
Nothing but watch wrestling.
My God. No offense. I love wrestling, but I'd fall asleep. I'd be after a while, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. Yeah. I fall asleep. Anyway, you should know, Ryan, we've just lost a listener. Thanks a lot. Rob Humphrey said, as a bearded man, I take offense to Ryan's anti-bearded stance. Rob, it was a pleasure having you as a fan. Clearly,
I stand firm in my beliefs. I will not be bullied away from them.
Well, you're not anti-beard. You're anti-Jay White having a beard.
Yeah, I'm very specific on that. I'm very one guy.
You don't want to see me without a beard. It's really not great. All right, guys.
It would take away from the Goldilocks and the Three Bears status.
Yeah, it definitely would. It certainly would. I can't wait. I have a haircut Saturday, and I'm going to get shaped up. It should be good.
You should get them all cut, buddy.
Oh, I'm like waiting for the day where I go in, and she's like, today's the day we're just going to shave this straight down to the skin. And I'm going to be like, do it. Be like, do it. I've asked numerous times, by the way. I'm like, why don't we just take it all off? And she's like, you don't have to. I'm like, well, we could. I'm ready.
I'm really hot in the summer. When it's like 95 degrees out, you're going to be like, just take it all away.
Please take it all away. This less than a quarter inch of hair on the top of my head, I can't do it. All right, guys, why don't we do this? Why don't we step away for a second and then come back and we'll do what we normally do. We'll run through the rankings real quick because it does sort of matter. We saw somebody jump up who's involved a little bit more now. We'll go through Dynamite. We'll talk about some other news and notes. But before we step away, I have to ask, Kate, have you remembered yet that we're part of a network called the Shining Wizards Network?
Wait, the show that we're doing right now is?
This show right
Since
now.
When?
What?
Since when has that been the case?
Kate, I mean, come on. Day number 1. We're Shining Wizards Network, day 1. That's day 1.
Day 1-ish.
Yeah, we're part of the Shining Wizards Network. And if you listen to the Monday Night B show, it's the Shining Wizards. 6:55 for some reason. I don't know why they wouldn't do 7:05 like they were part of the Superstar, or I'm sorry, the Super Network TBS back in the day. But 6:55 on Monday nights, apparently. You can catch the Shining Wizards. Over 10 years of podcasting. Millionaire Matt shows up for that show.
It's just us two, though, I guess. Just us two shows on the network.
Well, Kate, that's the other thing I was going to tell you about. There's other shows.
Oh, what? How can I find out about them?
Well, why don't you sit back, kick your feet up, take a swig of water, and listen to some of these words from the other shows that are part of the illustrious Shining Wizards Network.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years, but when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantemradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app, and it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fist full of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese man of war Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin.
And Vince.
Your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast, hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
You guys miss so much when we go into a commercial. It's so amazing.
We had some fun on the commercial break.
We should be breaking, but we're sitting here bullshitting anyway.
Yeah, we had some fun miming off the screen.
We certainly did.
Ryan was texting someone the whole time,
I saw. But then you call me a no-selling son of a bitch, so I continue to listen.
Kate, don't salt Ryan's game. Maybe he's sliding up in some DMs. You know what I'm saying?
He could be.
He's got to work out that late night. You know what I mean?
He's just like, hey, dude.
The world was ending or not. That's all.
Oh, the world's ending.
Do you do booty dances on TikTok? That was the question.
Mine private. I'm smart.
Smart man.
Well, guys, before we move on, one final we should plug ourselves here. You should be following us on our socials at Mark Order Pod on all our socials: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We've mentioned TikTok. God damn it, follow us. We'll put up some booty shaking stuff. I'll find it. We'll do it. We'll get Kate to commit.
Matt's not here, so we're gonna guarantee that if you sign up for TikTok
right here
on the Mark Order Podcast, he will do the booty drop challenge. Actually, that's going around.
I don't even know what that is. I have to look it up. Anyway, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all those places. And actually, I don't know if you guys know, I've refined how people can actually get our stickers.
Oh, really?
I feel like some people maybe are like, I don't want to send you a DM with my name and address. Totally fine.
Shame on you. Slide up into the DMs, folks.
I mean, that's the way it is. But, whatever. I fixed it for those people who maybe don't want to do that. So, if you would like some free Mark Order Podcast stickers, that's right, free. All you have to do
is go to Ant's house.
No. Absolutely not. But what you can do is go to any one of our socials, and we have a link tree now. Asian Joe said it'll just be Nellie's cat butthole shaking on TikTok. Son of a bitch. That's a fantastic idea. Anyway, all you got to do now to request your stickers, head to any of our socials. If it's Twitter, I think my internet just crapped out. My apologies. If it's Twitter, TikTok, anything like that, go to the link tree in our profile, and if you click on that, there's a form you could submit there with your name, and then there's a message. You just put in your address, tell us what country you're from, and submit it. We'll get it in our email, and then we will send you out stickers. Okay, so all you got to do is name, address, the country you're in, and then send it to us through our link tree, and we will get it, and we will send you out stickers anywhere in the world for free. That is gratis. We'll worry about the postage. Also, Linktree is great because if you're only connected to one of our socials, you can connect to all of our other socials through there. Also, anywhere you want to find this in podcast form, if you're watching us on YouTube, and maybe you want to go subscribe to the actual podcast and just listen back later, you can do that there as well. And we will also be putting up some other links there as they become available. Who knows? Maybe shirts, maybe a redesigned website, maybe some other stuff. We've got some things in the works. So keep an eye on our socials, connect with us, and we will talk to you soon. Kate, yes, are you raising your hand or are you mic dropping?
A little bit of both, because I was going to say we got things in the work, and Matt's got things to twerks. Yeah.
How did we get to Matt twerking?
Because he's not here, so.
He's one probably the most likely to do it.
That's true.
It's
I will say though,
accurate.
Ryan, that comment looked like it hurt you on a different level. Are you okay? You feeling all right?
It wasn't that I appreciate a good pun as much as anyone. It was that I actually thought she had like some announcement, and
no,
It went there and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
It
was just a wordplay. I think Matt twerking as an announcement. I'm sorry if it didn't satisfy the masses, but that's on you.
Listen, Kate, you win some, you lose some. And I think if this were baseball, which might be the only baseball we get all year at this point, your batting average is probably in the 200s. So let's step it up. Let's do better.
Why'd you gotta bring up baseball? Like, why are you just trying to make me sad?
Listen, Kate, we got no baseball. The world is ending. We're still dealing with COVID. You had COVID 3 times. I mean, this is the end times. You know what I'm saying?
It is. And you know what I miss about baseball, Ant? I miss going to the papers and checking out the standings.
Well, guess what, Kate? We've got standings and rankings here.
Why are you going to the papers?
I don't know. I just felt like being old timey.
It is fun though sometimes to pick up the paper and be like, "Hey, what are the standings right now?"
Yeah. I like the. What's wrong with the paper, Brian?
Get the papers. Get the papers.
Don't know anyone under 50 that reads the paper, the physical paper.
I was just being fun, okay? I was throwing back to the days before the Hollywood Elites. Anyway, let's talk about the rankings.
Let's do it. Let's go through the rankings really quick here. So in the men's division, our champions, Hangman Adam Page and Sammy Guevara. And then our number 1 ranked male, Adam Cole.
Baby!
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Ryan, where are you tonight? Get on board.
My internet is wonky, so I'm desperately trying to I'm on Comcast app, so I'm trying to see if there's an outage by me or something. Because I'm getting like every third word from you guys.
You can log out and back in again if you need to.
I might have to because I'm trying to see what the hell's going on. So
we're just going through rankings, nothing important.
Definitely.
I'm gonna fix my internet. I'll be back.
Kate, Adam Cole.
Baby!
Followed by Powerhouse Hobbs, who slid up to number 2.
Powerhouse.
Thank you. Lance Archer's still hanging out at number 3.
Everybody's third.
What? Wardlow is for the War Dog. And Dante Martin sitting at number 5. In the tag division, Jurassic Express still our tag team champions.
Oh, champion.
What is that?
I was doing the
That's
Jungle
supposed to
Boy
be-
theme.
Oh my goodness. All right. If you say so.
I don't know what's wrong with me tonight, but we're going to keep just rolling.
My goodness. Yeah, I'm just going to plow through this. Number 1, the Acclaimed.
Listen.
Number 2, Kings of the Black Throne. That is Malachi Black and Brody King. We will talk about them momentarily. 3, Private Party. Oh my god.
Private Party?
Oh my god. Number 4, the Ass Boys, the Gun Club.
Wow! They're the Ass Boys.
Bam, bam.
Bam, bam.
By the way, those are 2 things you never want to combine. You never want to combine the guns. You never want to combine the asses. Don't put them together. Just keep them apart.
Hard pass.
And then number 5, FTR. And then in our women's division, Britt Baker's the world champion, and Jade is our TBS champion. TBS, that bitch show. Number 1, ranked female is Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa.
Number 2, legit Layla.
I don't know her theme.
Okay. The one time I paused because I was like, she's definitely going to jump in with something.
Wait, what is hers?
You're like, fuck you, dude.
I'm cutting you off with the ones that I know, and then the ones that don't really work, I've got nothing.
All right. Number 3, Serena Deeb. Number 4, Anna J. No, not even an Anna. Anna.
Whoa, Anna, 4.
The meme. And number 5, Red Velvet. She's stirring it up. Those are our rankings. Really, par for the course. So we are going to talk about Dynamite now. Now, of course, Ryan's not here, but if I were a betting man, Ryan would be like, I loved it. Just right off the bat. Loved this. We'll get his take if he comes back in.
That was just the signature of the show that he loved. That didn't even get into any of the matches or anything. It was just like, Ryan, what did you think about the fact that it happened? And he was like, I loved it.
Kate, that honestly makes me think of, I'm going to get it out before he gets back on at some point. We need to have just a drop of Ryan being like, I loved it. And then we just... Ryan, what'd you think? I loved it.
I loved it. Anytime he's absent, just bang-a-lang like he never left.
That's right. Anything else? Nope. Okay.
That's it.
So, Kate, when we open the show up, we open up with the Tag Team Battle Royale. Well, it's just Royal. They didn't add the E on the end of it. But I think if I have all of the teams down correctly, it was 2.0, the Ass Boys, the Beaver Boys, which is a Dark Order, the Best Friends, the Butcher and the Blade, FTR, Private Party, Proud and Powerful, Redragon, the Young Bucks, and that's it. And then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, along with Christian Cage, were sitting up on the ramp. Kate, here's the one thing I have to say about them sitting up on the ramp. No problem with them doing that. Here's my problem. Luchasaurus is a goddamn champion and a dinosaur. He can't get a goddamn chair. He's got to stand up the whole time Christian Cage sits. Come on, Christian. He's your champ. He shouldn't be working the legs.
That's a good point, except maybe there's not like a chair that can hold a dinosaur in their defense. You know what I mean?
If it's a folding chair, there's room for his tail to get through the back.
That's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, and I mean, it's fine that they were sitting there, but I was like, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a battle royal.
Also, Kate, I have to say, I didn't think about it for sure, but Marky Mark Kayfabe and Rob Humphrey both coming up with Legit Layla. Too Legit to Quit, and Rob Humphrey, I can't believe she didn't go with Too Legit to Quit. That is great goddamn call by both of those guys. Thank you. I am just where I'm disappointed, Kate, if I can kind of, break all the kayfabe down. Where I'm disappointed, I didn't think of it. I should have thought of it.
I know. Somebody should have, especially with as many punny nerds as are on here.
God damn it. Too legit to quit. Anyway. So Kate,
a soundboard.
I have to figure out how to do it. I got to get one, and then me and Matt can compete with soundboards all night. That will be fun.
Board off. Let's go.
Yeah. So Kate, aside from my beef with not allowing the champion to sit and Christian Cage being so goddamn selfish and taking a seat next to the champion Jungle Man, this match is pretty standard for a battle royal. There were some really fun moments in it. Hey, there's Ryan. Wait a minute, I want to do this to get back to where we were before. Beautiful. That way I'm used to looking at, let's see. Kate's over here and Ryan's over here. Perfect. We're set. I had to figure out while looking at my camera because everything's backwards. Anyway, so a pretty standard battle royal, some fun moments, Trent gets saved by Orange Cassidy, guys not being able to, are getting saved from hitting the floor, guys obviously getting, pulled off the apron and stuff like that. Some shenanigans, if you will. This was a pretty fun match. At the end, we basically get down to a bunch of single teams. The final three in the match wind up being O'Reilly, Matt Jackson, and John Silver. Pretty fun final three here. Clearly, we know that there's this working relationship between Redragon and the Young Bucks. So as we're getting to the end, it's sort of like a 2-on-1 deal. Kyle O'Reilly says, "Oh, my shoulder, I can't throw out John Silver. Why don't you do it, Matt?" And then as Matt goes to throw him over, Kyle O'Reilly also flips Matt over the top rope and out. So Red Dragon, or Redragon if you listen to this show,
there's only one D.
Yeah, and there's a capital R. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's Redragon. They become the number one contenders. I'm sorry, not number one contenders. They become the first tag team to be a contender in the triple threat tag team title match at Revolution. There is a chance next week for the teams to get in. So the Young Bucks have another shot at getting in through the, I believe, Casino Battle Royal style match. But before we get some takes on the match, we should also note that post-match there were some shenanigans. Nick Jackson comes back down to confront Red Dragon, and tempers begin to flare. And that's when Hangman Adam Page enters. He hits the ring and takes out Red Dragon. Cole slides in afterwards to try to get some of his offense in. Go for a buckshot lariat, but it doesn't work out. He gets pulled out by Red Dragon. John Silver hits a cannonball on Red Dragon. Kyle gets thrown in the ring, and Kyle gets hit with a bug shot. We'll get into some of what comes after. I don't want to go through the whole thing. Let's get some takes on the match. And clearly, maybe the most important part, I'm sorry, before we get your takes on this whole after-match beatdown, is the fact that the Young Bucks are standing there, and they basically look at Adam Page, and they're like, hey, this is your deal, and they just back off. They don't save Red Dragon. So clearly there's that issue, even though they were working together in this match. They're not on the same page here. So, Schlong, is your internet better?
It is.
Kate, I think you know what I'm going to ask Ryan. Ryan, what did you think of this match?
I was really hoping for a curveball. I mean, it was okay. Tag team battle royals are awkward because there's a lot going on, and I didn't know, like, at first you don't know until they kind of tell you that both guys have to be eliminated to one guy. Like, there's always, I feel like every other time that rule changes. It did make me appreciate just how stacked their tag team division is, because I think, for the exception of the Ass Boys and Private Party at this point, though in the future I'll change my mind on this, I believed every team could win. Like, all those, even Silver and Reynolds, like, I could believe that they're finally ready to give them the push. So everybody that finished that match, I was like, oh no, this team could be it. And, you know, so that's didn't even count the Acclaimed not in there. You know, you had House of Black wasn't in there. You had Penta and Ray, who obviously weren't in there. So you have a bunch of teams that weren't even in there. That just shows how good it is. So the match, it's like I said, I liked it, and I'm a big Battle Royal Rumble, any style like that fan. My biggest problem is when you have tag team ones are always a little bit more awkward than singles. I just think the story plays out in a little weird way to me.
At least it seemed like during this Battle Royal, they were calling back on a lot of the stories, right? Like, so we knew, like you said, we knew about some of the issues between the Ass Boys and some of the other guys in the ring, and clearly Red Dragon and the Young Bucks and FTR and seemingly everybody have an issue. So there was a lot of stories to play out, which also, you know, does speak to the strength of this tag division, right? Like, there are so many tag teams, and these were all pretty fair tag teams. Like you said, there were maybe one or two teams I can't possibly see winning, but honestly, anybody could have taken it, and they would have, you know, had a claim to some sort of story going into that title match. Even if it was the Ass Boys, we just lost, and now we're right back in the mix. You know what I mean? So potentially any story could have worked here. But I hear your point. Yeah, they did mention early on, and I didn't even think about it, Ryan. Like, I feel like we've seen enough tag team battle royals with them to kind of like, I just assumed the rule was both men had to be eliminated to get rid of the team. I feel like that was a you know, a WWE thing where it was like they did a battle royal once or twice with tag teams, and it was like once one is gone, they're both gone. But
yeah, maybe it was, and it was carrying over into my brain, but I guess that's part of the problem. Like, battle royals in general, though, through most country companies are the same. Even, you know, in WWE, WCW when they had them, now AEW, whoever, regular battle royals are the same. Guy goes out, feet hit the ground, he's gone. So tags are the only one where they have a little bit different rules, and I guess that's why it's a little ugly to me. I never know. I can't always remember which one I'm watching with which set of rules.
Kate, what did you think of the match and the post-match antics?
Yeah, the matches like this are just not for me. Like, it's just too many guys. But I loved all of the references to earlier stories from all of them. I think it came down to the right 3 teams at the end and the right 2 teams at the end, which was fun. I think it's funny because I have to watch WWE. They over-explain rules so much. I think that AEW could do a better job of explaining rules a little bit. But it's a fun enough way to start off the show, you know what I mean? And for what came after it, it better have started off the show because there was nowhere else you could have put this on tonight's card that would have made any sense, really. But I just also appreciated that they're all actual teams. Like, there's no just two guys thrown together stuff in AEW, and the times that they've done that have been for tremendous payoffs. Look at Kenny and Hangman. Like, that was a story that ran for 2 years. And Eddie and Mox were a natural fit and kind of became a real tag team until injuries and stuff. So, and was born out of, like, what feels like a very real-life friendship and what was a very real-life friendship. So I just appreciate that they're all actual tag teams, and that tag team wrestling is a continued attraction in AEW. This match is just like kind of a clusterfuck even when it's done well, but like that's fine. That works for some people, not my favorite, but the storytelling was all clean and logical, which is all that I really ask coming out of one of these things. And it just also feels kind of weird to do a battle royal to get to a triple threat. But I'm excited for the possibilities of that because this tag division is so strong. Like, that's going to be huge. So I think it'll be really fun. I think you got to put Santana and Ortiz in there, right? Like, that just feels obvious right now. Who do you guys think are the other two teams?
Well, at this point, it's only one other team, right? Because we know it's Red Dragon.
Right,
so,
yes. But I'm throwing Proud and Powerful in there, but because isn't it a triple threat?
It is, yes. So I think that makes sense. Now, and this also, I wouldn't be upset seeing the Young Bucks because of the story that has to play out, but I think we can write them out and still have their story get told with Red Dragon. So I don't think that's a thing. My and Ryan, if you want to give your answer before I kind of ask my question, go ahead.
To me, it's Santana Ortiz, and then the obvious story is the Bucks,
right?
That they go in and they cost Redragon cost each other the match. Well, no, it's a triple threat, so it can't be two other teams.
No, yeah, it's just Red Dragon. It would be Red Dragon, the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and then one other team.
Okay,
so
yeah, then it's Santana Ortiz with the Bucks being cost by Redragon in the Battle Royal.
I was gonna say that would be the way to get the Bucks out, and still their story with Red Dragon would make sense, right? Like maybe then they cost Red Dragon at the pay-per-view, whatever. My only question was, going kind of into this, not even before it started, we were sitting on the couch, me and Mrs. Money, and I think I even said to her, I was like, this is going to come down to the Bucks and Red Dragon, and somebody's going to have to screw somebody. Like, I mean, immediately I was like, that's how this has to go. Do you think it was like it? Do you think that was too easy kind of a story to tell here? Or was that fine to tell, and maybe, we're setting up for this next one, and, it can kind of go either way, and that's kind of what they were hoping for. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like during the middle of this, I was like, well, it's obvious what's going to happen. You know what I mean? By the way, my computer is listening to me because I'm seeing banner ads now on one of these pages for superhero capes and masks.
Whoa.
You are being listened to,
big brother. God damn it. So anyway, back to my question. Does it bother you that seemed to be a pretty obvious kind of, like outcome to this? Or are you okay with this because there's still a couple outs here? We could still not land with Bucks and Red Dragon and the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus.
Yeah, for me, I think it's fine. Like, I think it's possible that you could have them. I think because if it goes the obvious way, I think it'll still be an incredible match. So that doesn't bug me. If it was going to be obvious and bad, I would care, but obvious and good is fine. And it's not like a sure thing. Like, I think it could very easily be Proud and Powerful. I think you could throw the Acclaimed in there if you wanted to do that. Like, and with the possibility of Kenny Omega coming back, at least in like some sort of if he's not ring cleared, like a speaking role of some sort almost, that adds a whole other wrinkle to it. So I think because even if the predictable thing happens, I think it'll just be really, really good. That doesn't bug me personally.
Ryan, any problems with kind of the way they set this story up?
No, I mean, it was kind of, like you said, it was a little obvious. The only thing that wasn't obvious is that either team would win. I knew one would screw the other, but it didn't necessarily mean that it would lead to the other team winning, because I could have easily seen a scenario where the final three, I mean, I knew it was going to happen as soon as Silver was one of the final three there, but if it had been Santana, O'Reilly, and Matt Jackson, I could have easily seen a scenario where, O'Reilly screws Matt Jackson and then gets screwed back by Matt Jackson and Santana wins. So I didn't know up until the very end, but it's just because the story is logical. I mean, pretty obvious doesn't mean it's bad, because it's following a logical progression and the outcome is still way unknown.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually know who comes out on top in this feud.
Right. And I mean, to what some people are saying in the chat, like Rob Humphrey says that this last team has to be the Bucks, right? That's a way it could certainly go. Dan Janoff is saying, they'll probably cancel each other out where Jurassic Express retains. Sure, that is one possibility. Marky Mark Kayfabe is also saying the story is clearly the Bucks. I'd be okay with another team, Proud and Powerful, FTR, or Reynolds and Silver feel like good options. And Marky Mark also followed that up with Reynolds and Silver, especially with their ongoing story with Adam Cole on BTE. But not only that, like they clearly have this issue with Red Dragon now, right? Because they're kind of feuding, or helping Adam Cole with Adam Page. So, it certainly could be Silver and Reynolds. Like, there is a case for that story to be told in a triple threat match, in which case, maybe the Jurassic Express do retain. I mean, I think the cool thing here is that I think there's still a lot of ways they can go with the next team. And then there's still a lot of ways they can go with the pay-per-view. Depending on the mix of teams, I think it would be easy to tell, okay, Jurassic Express is going to retain. But if you throw a couple of these other teams in there that we mentioned, the Young Bucks, FTR, I think we're talking about maybe a different outcome. Maybe somebody else comes out on top. But I think it's fun. There's 10 different ways they can get to the end here, and there's not one clear picture, which we don't always get in other places. So
I know that's right.
So guys, after all the shenanigans in this match, Hangman set up a chair, and there's a couple promos here, so I want to go through them and then we can talk about what we want. Hangman sets up a chair and asks who's ready for story time with Adam Page, baby, which I thought was hilarious because you could hear Bobby Fish like on the mic.
Like he was so loud in it.
It was so funny though, because when he said that, they show Bobby Fish, with Adam Page on the ramp, and he's like, "It's Adam Cole."
It's so funny.
It was amazing.
Normally that's like background chatter too, I feel like, and it was like very, very audible today. Like everything he was saying on the ramp, but that killed me because it almost sounded like a fan. Like at first I didn't realize it was him, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it absolutely killed me. No, that's Adam Cole's thing. I think he said something about copywriting too.
Yeah, he probably did. But yeah, that got me. And right before he said, no, that's Adam Cole's thing, Adam Cole just mouthed, or if he said it wasn't loud enough, he just goes, "You son of a bitch." Which just made me laugh. So Hangman sets up a chair. He takes a seat and says the story begins in 2008 with Adam Cole's entry into pro wrestling, winning world titles everywhere he went. But he could see the writing on the wall and feel the world crumble around him. He clambered back to his old friends and came for the AEW World Championship. But what he didn't see is that he's drawing closer and closer to a 6-foot hole in the ground. When he walked into Revolution thinking he'd leave his world champ, he stepped too close to the grave. The better Adam laid him in it. And the world listened to the sound of his body hitting the dirt from a freshly cocked buckshot. And that sound was boom. So nice little promo there from Hangman Adam Page to kind of build to this, and then we go to Tony Schiavone backstage, interviewing Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson says that he's been impressed by Daniel Garcia and because he reminds him of a younger version of himself. Technically, he's impressive and vicious on the mat. The difference is really that he doesn't have a great mentor like Danielson had in William Regal. He's got the goons in 2.0, and he's going to show him the difference tonight. He ends by saying, last week Moxley said we'd have to bleed together before they fight together, and he'll address that after the match tonight, and we go to break. So, Kate, thoughts on that Hangman Adam Page promo and the interview with Danielson backstage? Any takeaways?
Yeah, I thought these were both really good. It was nice to hear Hangman just sounding like a champion. Like, I really liked that promo. And the fun thing with Danielson, and I've said this a couple times, but like, because he's actually the best in the world at this, it like makes this heel version of him so fun. And today was like a whole other layer of that where it was almost like, well, none of these guys can beat me, so I might as well like take them under my wing almost. Like this, like, yeah, like for second best, these guys are great. Like this whole other arrogance kind of got unveiled with it, I think, which was really, really fun. Loved the William Regal line. They're talking about that in the chat too. Mark Kayfabe saying, bring William Regal in. Like, yes, I'm with you on that. But just loved saying that was his mentor and that he's walking around with these 2.0 clowns. Like, that asshole guy, like, thinks that way. So it's just very, very nice. It's what I'm loving about this run is the thing that I love about Eddie Kingston. Of like everything just makes sense and he doesn't say a ton more than that. Like it's just like everything that guy says, you believe that guy believes. And it's a really clean, easy way to go about things. And it all comes from him actually being a guy that could beat all these guys' ass. So just really, really fun from Danielson. And this heel run, I'll say it over and over again, is like just, it's Mount Rushmore stuff, man. It's so good.
He's a great heel, and this is definitely a different heel than he played. We've said it before, different heel than he played in the E. So it's refreshing to see his take on being a heel. Schlong, any takeaways for you from the Adam Page or Danielson interview?
I'm trying to think because Kate covered a lot of ground there. She covered Danielson better than I will, so I'll let that go. The Page side of things. It's nice to see this getting very personal in a certain, but not like too like. How do I say this? Not like oddly personal, where like they make believe that they have these bad hit stories, like nothing like that, but just more like I know you, you know me, so let's not like if we're gonna go at it, this is gonna be a blood feud, no matter whether it's starting over just a title or just over anything. So I kind of like that. This was a bit oddly paced promo by Page. I thought it was kind of odd, but I enjoyed it. I like that he sat in a chair for whatever reason. That did something for me. And like you guys said, Bobby Fish reacting to it is probably the best part of the whole thing, and in some ways sadly stole the show.
Yeah, that hot mic was gold during that whole interview. I think at one point he was like, what are you, a cowboy or an undertaker or something like that? Like he was like, why are you digging graves? So yeah, I agree with you there. It was a lot of fun. So guys, we come back from commercial to what some have been saying might be MJF's greatest promo in AEW since he's been there. So MJF comes to the ring looking morose with tears in his eyes. And he says that he used to love CM Punk. He knows we want to boo him, and he's not the most likable person in the world, but he wants the opportunity to speak. And Punk showed us a photograph last week and said it was just another Friday, but for MJF, it wasn't. He knows it's easy to think he was raised with a silver spoon in his mouth. But the fact of the matter is, at one point, the only reason he got out of bed every day was professional wrestling. Just like us, he loves pro wrestling and AEW, and the day meant everything to him. He goes back to 2007. He's 11. years old with disabilities, severe ADD, learning disabilities, severe ADD, and every day in school was hell. The one thing he felt good about was football. And he got started as a middle linebacker. That meant everything because he was, for once, able to fit in. And he was walking down the hallway. His teammates walk up to him, and he was excited because he thought he had made some friends, but they were angry, holding rolls of quarters that they would throw at him and say, pick it up, Jew boy, as the quote was from NJF. He said Jew boy quite a bit. It made me uncomfortable. But he went home and cried and stopped because he realized that today was Friday, and that meant he get to meet his hero CM Punk at a signing. And that day meant everything. When he went back home, he promised he was going to be just like CM Punk. He was going to be the best in the world. And a couple of years later, he went to train as a wrestler, studying tape until his eyes bled, practicing promos in his mirror until his voice was hoarse, all because he wanted to be like Punk. But in January 2014, Punk left him and all of us. And that's when he realized if the best in the world can't do it, what chance does a 5'0" Jew boy, as he said, have to make it? So he went to school, buried his dreams until he happened to come across a photo on Instagram of CM Punk shaking hands with Bryan Danielson. The guy who had left him when he needed him most was back, and he was livid and promised himself he was going to be the best in the world in spite of CM Punk. He promised whatever outcast kid was being bullied and only had him on his TV screen, he wouldn't leave him. He wouldn't leave like the gutless coward CM Punk. You could choke him with a chain, make him bleed. He won't quit because he's better than that, and he's better than you, Kate. I think you know that. That's when Chicago Mid Punk comes down to the ring. He climbs up onto the... Huh?
Easy. All right.
Okay. Punk climbs up on the apron and stares MJF down before climbing through the ropes. They confront each other directly. He asks if what he said was true. Max says it was. Tears starting to stream down his face. MJF turns to leave. And we go to break as MJF is on the ramp. Tears running down his face. Guys, this was a fun promo. I say fun, but it was fun, and I'll tell you why. Mrs. Money goes, "Is that true?" And I told her, I have no fucking clue because I can't believe anything MJF says.
Yeah.
So I have no clue if any of that story is true. It very well could be. But listen, I thought that this was great out of MJF. He didn't have to scream and yell into the mic. He told a true story of his past. And he made us understand why he hates CM Punk so much. It's funny that didn't happen to Kate when he left, but it happened to MJF. So I'm going to throw it to our resident mid expert, Kate. And Kate, no, I'm not talking about mid for Punk because mid MJF. Sometimes we've kind of not liked his promos because he's been super over the top. This one seemed to pull it back, even though he was tears streaming down his face. Maybe the greatest actor in the history of our generation. What did you think of this, Kate?
Not a mid actor. This was funny. It was very polarizing online because this felt like a babyface promo in a lot of ways. And what I really liked about it was I kept waiting for the gotcha moment. I thought for sure when Punk came down and was hooked, Wardlow was going to come and beat him with a chair or something. Like, I was waiting for a gotcha that never happened. I will say I'm pretty sure the football and the quarter stuff is true. He's talked about that a little bit in the very, very scarce handful of interviews he's done out of character. He talked about it for AEW's like anti-bullying stuff. So I'm pretty sure that is true, which is terribly sad and awful. But I liked that we got something that elicited sympathy for MJF because he doesn't do that a lot, right? Normally he's just this cocky chicken shit heel who doesn't make you feel bad for him ever. So it just opens the door to it being like a little bit more personal because one of two things is going to happen. Either Punk is going to turn heel out of this, which I don't think will happen yet, or MJF is gonna have him emotionally kind of like hooked and be in Punk's head a little bit, and the viciousness is gonna just feel that much more personal. I really, really like having MJF having a justified reason to hate him, and I liked Punk coming down, and it wasn't, so now, like, I thought for sure we were gonna get Punk being like, so now you go around bullying everyone? Like, that's what you got out of this? Like, you got bullied and now you're running around bullying everyone? He just came down and was like, is that true? Is that all true? Which is like what you were asking at home. And this also kind of ties back to MJF's reaction last week when he was like, said it was going to be a dog collar match and it's just another Friday thing. Like, how emotional and upset he got at it. Like, this seemed like an explanation of how he behaved last week, and I really, really liked it. I liked wanting to feel something for MJF's side of the story so that he can betray us with it later. Like, I think that's ultimately what's going to happen, but very different from him. I thought it was really fun, and I don't think it's a face promo. I think it's a heel promo that is the heel part's coming around the corner, but I also think it's really good to... There's not like a ton of Jewish wrestlers, and it's like Colt Cabana and Goldberg and stuff. Like, I think it's good to have a prominent, serious wrestler be able to have a moment where he talked about like anti-Semitism, and that didn't get truncated by anything heelish. Like, I think that stuff matters a lot, and I know well before like I was ever at Fightful. Like last year, I had tweeted like Happy New Year on Rosh Hashanah. I tweeted like Happy New Year to our Jewish friends except for MJF, and he retweeted it with blow me in Hebrew. And when I saw like the anti-Semitic responses on that were so awful, I was like, he gets them, but like extremely jarring some of the stuff I saw. So I just thought that was also cool for Jewish people to kind of point to in a significant spot on a wrestling show. Because, Goldberg is just, like, concussing himself and spearing himself, and Cabana's, like, training people. I don't know of any prominent Jewish wrestlers outside of that I can think of off the top of my head. So that's also just a cool moment from a representation standpoint that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over with Judaism. There's still a lot of anti-Semitism out there, and it's probably good to have someone talking about that.
Also... don't forget Colt Cabana was his body. Well, he was transferred into a pumpkin, I think a banana and an apple this week too. So it was nice. We see him come out later. So at the very least, that's what he was doing. I will also say this. I did not know this because I do not know a lot of the history of Ring of Honor. I'll take Kyle K. Sparks' word on this. He said, throwback, Ring of Honor throwback. Before Punk's dog collar match with Raven, he cut a promo explaining why he hated Raven. Tonight, before his dog collar match with Punk, MJF explained why he hated Punk. So it could be a nice little Ring of Honor callback. Ryan, thoughts on the promo? Did we like it? Did we hate it?
This was taken out of TV, out of comics, out of everything, where you give the villain an origin story that's sympathetic but doesn't justify any of the decisions made afterwards. Like, you now understand MJF and how he got there, so you can appreciate the character and relate to him, and it gives depth to the story, but it doesn't justify being a dick for all these years. It actually doesn't even justify his hatred of Punk, because in some weird way, no, he was a kid, but the argument goes, what does Punk owe him? Like that comes back in. So it's a nice call in that you see a lot of movies, like some comics books, they all do it, where the bad guy needs to have a reasonable story as to how he got there, but not too much where he then becomes the good guy. And this one is, we feel really bad for you. Doesn't justify being the asshole you've become, but it does suck that happened. So it was a nice spin on the character, I should say. And we'll see where they go with Punk. But I was texting, hey, I was waiting for the twist. I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So I actually think it's kind of neat that the more I thought about it, the more neat I think it is that they didn't give us a twist tonight, that they did totally just go in a different direction, because I haven't seen that. Usually at the end, he'd say something like, Punk would come out and expose a lie, or he would cheap shot Punk, or he would like to just be like, no, this is what it was, and walk away. It's like, well, okay, that's different. Wrestling doesn't usually go that route.
Well, it's interesting to see where they go from here again, because Punk's seeming sympathy for MJF at the end of this kind of gives a little pause. Where are they going to go from here? So interesting stuff. I liked it a lot. But again, it seems like it's a little polarizing. There's a couple people, like Rob Humphrey said he didn't necessarily like this promo. Thought it was a little boring. Other people are saying it was the greatest thing they've seen him do since he's been in the company. So we'll see how this plays out. Either way, I'm looking forward to this dog collar match. It should be a banger. Back from commercial, Daniel Garcia and 2.0 are being interviewed. Jeff Parker says they walk through the doors together. Now Danielson wants to swoop in and mentor Garcia. Matt Lee says if he wants a taste, he's getting a taste. And Garcia says he doesn't need a lesson in violence tonight. He's going to teach Brian the lesson. So not too much to go through there. Just a build to the main event of the evening. But we do go into the House of Black versus the Death Triangle, which tonight was Pac and Penta Oscuro. So Penta debuted this alter ego that I think he had used in Lucha Underground. The way they spun it was he's a little more evil, a little more violent. I will say this right off the bat. I did not love the initial presentation with the tombstone and the shovel. And for some reason, Abrahantes was like this evil priest. Just seemed a little odd to me. But for the match, I thought the match was pretty interesting. As we get through the match, we'll kind of cut quick towards the finish. Obviously, this was a heavy-hitting, high-octane match. As we get to the end, Malachi Black tries to go for the mist, but Penta is able to cover his mouth and grab him. The Death Triangle wind up getting the win by pinfall, a victory roll on on Malachi Black by Penta Oscuro. And the interesting stuff comes post-match. If the match didn't do anything for you, Malachi goes to choke. Is choking on his own mist, and Brody King starts to beat down Penta and Pac. Malachi gets the shovel, washes the mist out of his mouth. Brody is able to slam Penta down on the mat. And that's when Malachi Black slides in, puts the point of the shovel on the throat, lifts it up, and the lights go black. When they come up, Mr. Buddy Matthews, looking all gassed up, is in the ring, staring down Malachi Black. Buddy circles around. We're not sure what's going to happen. And then he attacks Pac and Penta. He is seemingly with the Kings of the Black Throne. Malachi sits cross-legged, laughing, and Brody King takes out security as they try to rush to the ring to stop all this. They then lay a chair out in front of Penta. Buddy starts to hesitate, but Malachi is able to talk him through it, basically grabbing his beard, slapping him in the face, and Buddy delivers a surfboard stomp to put Penta's face into the steel chair. Lights go out again, music plays, and when they come back, the House of Black are gone. So we've been hearing about this for quite a while now, that there's going to be a third guy. The thoughts were it was going to be Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews. I always want to say Murphy because of the
different generic Irish last name.
Absolutely. So we had been hearing Buddy Matthews. The thought was in the promo last week that it was Matthews because of the history reference. Winds up being true. He looked pretty good, Buddy Matthews. He looked larger than I remember seeing him. This is a good fit for this trio. Obviously, the history is there, but this is a pretty dangerous group now, as if they weren't dangerous already with Brody King and Malachi Black. But he adds a whole new layer to it. Schlong, let's go to you first. What did you think of the match and Buddy Matthews appearing in AEW?
Not quite sure why you disrespect Vampire Alex. I think he,
Vampire Priest.
Yeah, but he was a vampire. As long as we press it, he had to have been a vampire. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Gimmick infringement on Danhausen. I mean, my God.
Different type of vampire.
Very evil, very evil. Just
Yeah, there's no good, just very evil. Doesn't care about your monies. The match was good, as expected. Again, you get all this good talent. The ending was a bit weird to me. The choking on, I mean, I guess I get it. At some point, I did wonder in my head before this had ever happened, like, has he ever swallowed that? I wonder what it tastes like. So to put it in character was pretty neat because you never see that. Buddy fucking Matthews, my God, what is he taking? Jesus Christ. I do like, though, that they're already sowing seeds that he's not 100% bought in. Like, you're always going to have that because he wasn't as aggressive as you know, Malachi wanted him. He kind of was pulling away from him a little bit at the end. So I kind of like the Jamie Hayter Britt thing. You don't have to do it right away, but as long as you always have those seeds there, then you can turn it up anytime you want. He's going to be a tremendous addition to the company. I mean, I think at some point we have actually probably hit the point now with the men where you're like, all right, I think we have enough. However, with Cody gone, it does free up a long segment in each Dynamite, and that's not even an insult to Cody. It's just the truth. He had a lengthy segment in pretty much every Dynamite. But just the people Buddy Matthews is going to be able to have matches with is insane. So I'm here for it. Curious what happens with Malachi's eye. Does Buddy there do anything to it? Because, you know, he's responsible. So what's going to happen? Maybe he has to lose an eye in return.
Did anybody notice tonight Malachi's eye was red?
Yes.
It was not white. And his face was just about halfway painted.
Painted. Taken over.
Excuse me. I should never say
Bro,
painted.
bro.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Ryan, on the potential matchups we can have with Buddy Matthews in singles competition, but also even just, man, look at this trio now. Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black can be a killer tag team. Buddy Matthews and Brody King, the trios, if they ever get goddamn trios titles, this team can vie for them and be a really good team. So I like it too. Kate, what do you have to say about this?
I love a lot of things about this. I thought the match was great. It was as hard-hitting as I expected. Malachi Black getting handed his first loss is something that we should not let go unnoted here, right? I think this was his first loss.
In this tag team, yes. But he did lose to Cody.
Oh, that's right. Okay, he lost. That's right, because Cody was in it for himself. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding.
Clearly.
I just thought this was great. I thought that was really clever. I don't know if I haven't watched a lot of wrestlers that had missed, to be honest. Like, that's a little, that gimmick predated most of my watching. Obviously I know of like Muda Mist and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever seen anybody counter it by just putting their hand over their mouth, like a very logical way to do that. I thought that was very, very clever. And so I saw Bud Matthews at his first appearance after WWE at like an indie show in the Poconos, which was weird. But he looked jacked. I was like, holy crap, I wonder if he's going to move differently in the ring. He did not move differently in the ring. He moved like a cruiserweight, but then just had this incredible like strength now added to it. And I was like, man, he's Diesel. He must have put on another like 12 pounds of muscle since then, which was, I think, in September. So I think he might be doing it now with steroids, which is even more impressive, but good for him. Like, I think he just, when he got released, was like, well, I'm just going to spend 900 hours a day in the gym. But just, he's super, super skilled. I think he's going to be great. He's someone you can plug in with so many different people. And now with his build, it's like, there's this whole other level of believability and more moves that he can do because he's just like jacked out of his mind. So put him against Hobbs. That now interests me. Like there's so many people he can go against, but he's always been so great in the ring. I'm excited to see what he brings here, and The only thing that I didn't like in this whole thing was I felt like JR was just kind of like, oh yeah, Bud Matt's here. They've got a history. And like it was just like so anticlimactic on the announce table, but picking nits when we get down to that level, he's going to be a great addition here, and another guy who I think can offer so much backstage and like to this younger crop coming up. I think he has a lot of value in that regard too, but very, very exciting stuff.
Well, it was definitely something we were waiting for, and it's now delivered. So interesting to see where they're going to go with Bud Matt, as Kate said. JR
Bud Matt.
Also, it is JR did say something on commentary like, well, if Buddy Matthews is signed to AEW, then it's going to be a big win for this company, and I can tell you it is official. Buddy Matthews did get the treatment with the graphic, so he is all elite. He is here. So good for Buddy Matthews. It will be fun to see where they go from here.
He's also, by the way, someone in interviews after he left had said that, like, and I don't mean to be like Barry WWE girl, but he said that like what happened there did make him question his love of wrestling, and that he thought that nobody was going to care about him. So it's just nice to see that he ended up landing at the second biggest alternative, because I think a lot of people are very much going to care. And I think when you get punished for caring so much about your character and the creative direction that you have, and that gets punished instead of rewarded, like, that sucks. So I'm just glad he's in a place that seems more compatible with the things that he wants to do, and is somewhere that's going to give him the exposure he deserves, because he's a phenomenal performer. I can't wait to see what he does here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big win. We're going to talk a little bit later about some news that broke today too, which could also be more wins for this company. So we'll talk about it. We move on from this, back from commercial. Eddie Kingston makes his entrance to the ring for his face-to-face with Chris Jericho, and security's in the ring, which you can tell Eddie is a little bit perturbed at from the go. Jericho also makes his entrance, and then Eddie starts to make fun of him for milking the entrance theme as he normally does, questions the security, and Jericho says he wanted to talk like men, not fight like common street thugs. Security's there to stop that, to which Eddie asks if he's saying he's a street thug, and then he laughs and says that he doesn't know, Jericho doesn't know what he's talking about. Eddie also says he doesn't know why they're doing this, because he's not a sports entertainer, and he wants to fight right now. He calls for TK to send Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale down if he wants to have some real wrestling on this wrestling program. I think Eddie also mentions if you want sports entertainment, go down to Stanford and down the road and take it there. And Jericho says since they're just down the road, he'll give him some sports entertainment and tell him a story. That everyone in the locker room was basically excited when Eddie Kingston was coming, and he had never heard of him. He thought he was talking about Eddie Edwards. And then he saw Eddie Kingston, and he realized it was because he looks like a jobber. That's why he'd never heard of him. But he saw his match against What's-His-Name, and the promo after, he knew that Kingston had what it takes to get to the top and people would love him. And he was right. And then he realized that he was jealous because he didn't make it to the big time until he was 38. And Jericho had already headlined pay-per-views and made millions of dollars by then. So Eddie asks if he wants a cookie for that, because he doesn't care. The only reason he's done all this stuff is because Eddie wasn't there. He's a different kind of cat, and he doesn't leech off people like Jericho does. He's not like the Carnies, and he does the things his way. He'll do it that way until he dies. Eddie also goes on to say he doesn't want to talk to him because he's just sucking the blood out of him, and his heart don't pump Kool-Aid. Jericho says that he's read all the stories and knows his family history. He's the first hero. His first hero was his uncle, who was a failure. Eddie starts to step up. Jericho says that his father was also a failure. And deep down, Eddie knows he's a failure too. He says Eddie can't win the big one in AEW. Jericho is the big one. It's not Moxley, not Danielson, not Punk, not Hangman Page, but Chris Jericho. And if he does manage to beat him, he swears to God he'll look him in the eye, shake his hand, and tell him he's got the ultimate respect because he'll have gotten over his fear of success that's holding him back. And Eddie gives him a warning. He says he doesn't want Mimosa Mayhem Jericho. He doesn't want the Jericho who got pushed off a cage by MJF. He wants the Jericho that was the first champion, that bled in Tennessee, that got respect from Tenryu in War, and that turned WCW upside down, that his close friend Levesque hated because if he doesn't, he's going to eat him alive. And Jericho says, you've got it, but you're not going to be able to win. So we do get Jericho Kingston lined up now for Revolution. Now, personally, guys, I was happy to see that the 4 jobbers they got to play security tonight got some nice time on camera and didn't have to get their asses beat. I was actually really glad this didn't devolve into a beatdown and that it just stayed them talking. I thought them talking was just fine. Eddie's fantastic with his little jabs, at the other stuff, mentioning Levesque and sports entertainment and stuff like that. I didn't have a problem with this, and we knew that this is where it had to go. Now, I'm going to throw it to Kate because she's an Eddie Kingston mark. What did you think? Did you like this?
I was actually just trying to see if there were any indie talent that I recognized as those security officers. I didn't know, but nobody that I can tell off the bat. I thought this was great. I thought this was the past two weeks or so have been some of Jericho's best work in a really long time. He looked lean as hell too. He looks really good. I just prefer this way more rooted style, this thing that feels more true. Eddie Kingston in that Players Tribune article, I think it was that, or maybe it was an interview, talked about like how uncomfortable he is with success. That's a very like real thing. Eddie just makes me care, man. My heart not pumping Kool-Aid was so great. Like, I just love all of it. I loved him saying he's sick of Judas. I loved him saying he doesn't want to do this talking segment. He wants to fight. Like, I just love that. And I loved Jericho saying, well, I'm actually entertaining. They just felt very much both rooted in their own worlds, and that made me really happy. I so prefer this sincerity with Jericho rather than Dad Rock, rather than Cruise Director Mike. So, I loved this. I thought both of them really built up a match that I want to see now. Like it was something that I was kind of excited to see, and now it's something I want to see them beat the hell out of each other. I liked that the rest of the inner circle wasn't there. I loved that Jericho brought security out because they were there to talk. They weren't there to fight. So he was going to make sure that the wild Eddie Kingston didn't suddenly break out into anything. But you're right. It's nice to not have a melee. Best promos in a long time, I think. But just best feud for Jericho in a long time. This is really good. I did not miss Dan Lambert tonight. It didn't make me sad that he was not there. I know that's surprising to a lot of people. Okay. But yeah, I thought this was fantastic. You guys know how I feel about Kingston. I think he's right now, I'll say the best promo that is in wrestling. I feel like when Punk turns heel, he's going to be right back up there. But he's just makes everything feel so real and important. But yeah, this was good. I needed this from Jericho.
Yeah, Mark Quill says really great night of promos on Dynamite, and I agree. This was one of their stronger nights where all their promos seemed to make sense. Ryan, did you like this, or is Kate just being a super mark for Eddie?
I mean, Kate is being a super mark for Eddie, but this was very good. She said it. This is as good as he is. He needs people to play off of sometimes, and this was, like Kate said, the best Jericho we've seen since probably Jericho's initial run here. He had some moments even now. He stumbled a little bit, kind of going into his gimmicky side a little too much, but when Jericho's much more like, hey, I am who I am. It works better. I mean, Jericho looks phenomenal. I don't know what he's been doing lately, but he looks to be in a lot better shape. This is a very fun match because it kind of is the tale of two opposite guys. You know, Jericho was in WCW at a very early age, went over immediately to WWE. He's had tons of success, whereas Kingston has just struggled throughout his career, and this is his first taste. I'm very excited for it. I think this is what the feud needed, in a sense of like, again, they built it well up until now, but it adds that layer of realness to it, which is like, why would these two guys just instinctively not like each other? And it's because Eddie is a bit jealous of Jericho, because Jericho did have all the success that Eddie has trying to get. And Jericho is just a bit annoyed at Eddie being like, I am successful, so what? I mean, don't get me wrong, Jericho could be a prick for being that way, but it gives a real feel to this. So I'm very excited about that.
You know, it's really refreshing that they can seemingly do what the E can't do. And like, we're 2 weeks out from this pay-per-view, and now we finally get a story behind this, and everybody's invested. I mean, you know, Rob Humphrey said it. The segment did its job. I didn't care about this match at all. Now I can't wait to see Eddie kick Jericho's head off. You know, Dan saying Eddie's the greatest. I hope he wins it. Revolution. Like, it's amazing to see how they can pull these quick things together and make it really interesting and gets you invested. And, you know, seemingly other places can work for 4 months and not get you the same result. You know what I mean?
That's too, like, that's the problem with 50-50ing things to death. Like, if you 50-50 book it, what's the point of having them wrestle? They do less in-ring here. Eddie's been injured, so they couldn't. But, and I know I'm a Kingston mark, but the fact that Eddie, now 2 pay-per-views in a row, these have been like 2-3 week builds a little bit. You know what I mean? Like the Punk program was not a long program, and it felt so vicious and personal by the time they got there. And this, he's been injured, so they had some of the Inner Circle promo stuff with Santana and Ortiz, but like, this is, I mean, 3 weeks ago we were saying, well, what the hell is even the card going into Revolution? And now I'm like hyped for it just 2 weeks later, to Ant's point. Like, when you have, that's the value of a great promo. Like, truly, it's, we were saying we don't even know what the matches are, and now I'm excited for all of them. Like, this was a really, really valuable episode of television tonight for what they do.
And Kyle K. Sparks, fact-checking Jericho himself, says he looked it up. He wasn't kidding. By 38, Jericho had won 1 WWE title, 3 World Heavyweight titles, 8 IC titles, a WCW, and I don't know what promotion this is, ECW TV title. He must mean WWECW.
Yeah, it's like the shorthand for it.
Has to be. And at least a half dozen junior heavyweight titles. So, yeah, I mean, the other thing too is you can read Jericho's book. I haven't gotten all the way through it. I got part of the way through it. I don't find much time to read these days. But the Jericho's latest book, The Book of Jericho, I think was the title, where he just lays out all his matches from his career. It's incredible, some of the stuff he was doing. Over what some would now say isn't necessarily even the prime of your career, right? Like in your 20s.
Yeah.
Now your prime is like your 30s, right?
It's pretty wild. Kingston on Talk is Jericho is great if you don't like kayfabe. If you do like kayfabe, wait until the feud's over. But that was a really fun recognition of the value that Jericho did see in Eddie Kingston. It was really, really fun. And it sounds like at that point, Eddie was working heel, and Jericho was like, nah, I think you're a face. And I think Jericho was right. Like, that guy is over as hell right now, which is cool to see. And I loved Kingston also saying, I don't want orange juice, Jericho. Like, that whole run of, like, give me that, I thought was such a great piece of mic work from him.
A+ interview, or A+ promo from both tonight, and I agree with both of you too. The seeming elasticity in Jericho's physique is ridiculous. I mean, last week we saw Jericho, and I think Mrs. Money and I were like, man, he looks a little puffy, he looks a little run down. And then like this week comes out, and it's like he looks, he looked great. I mean, it was just crazy. So we'll see where we go now. We have a couple weeks left to build, so maybe another week of some sort of story they're going to tell us. But they've got me hooked for this match, so we'll see. We do get a small promo from Matt Hardy and Andrade, talking about how Andrade is going to win the TNT Championship. And Matt tells him that he wants to set up a Tornado Trios match: Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara at Revolution. So it seems like maybe we're going to get that match. Could be maybe a free match or something like that to hook people. Who knows? But they are clearly setting that up. Yes, Kate.
Do you guys think Andrade is going to beat Sammy?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind if he did, but Sammy did just unify those titles, so I feel like they're going to stay on Sammy. But I feel like Andrade is right where he needs to be in this picture right now, and I think I think we're clearly with Matt Hardy lining up the return of Jeff Hardy.
Yes.
So I have a feeling that perhaps Andrade doesn't win. Maybe he starts to get a little pissed off. Maybe this match happens at Revolution. They don't win. Andrade is now more pissed off at Matt, excuse me. Maybe he takes full control of the Hardy family office or whatever. And, we're kind of like lining up a story to get Jeff Hardy in the company. So I think that if he doesn't win, it's okay. There are still stories to tell. But if he does win, I'll be all in on that.
Yeah, I think it might, because I was like the unification thing. I'm like, they were split for like a week and a half. Like they were split for such a short time that like that didn't really mean a ton to me. But I just feel like it's a good spot to drop it. But I also feel like Scorpio Sky should be your next TNT champion. So I don't know. Like I want it to be to him.
Well, we'll know Friday night, that's for sure. So we'll see what that picture looks like Friday night.
Yeah, jeez.
We do get another qualifying Revolution ladder match, Face of the Revolution ladder match. It's Preston Vance versus Ricky Starks. Let's just cut to the end of this real quick. Ricky Starks winds up winning by pinfall with a spear to qualify for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Listen, I thought it was a good match. I like seeing Ricky on TV. It just, I don't know. It's a hard spot to be in, right? We've had so many kind of builds to this point, right? Where we've had killer promo, Buddy Matthews debuts, another killer promo, and now we get this match. It just seemed like maybe the crowd was a little dead. I thought this was a pretty good match, so I like seeing Ricky on TV and love the fact that Ricky's going to be in that Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah, so I was like, I guess we're not going all... Because Preston Vance isn't like the biggest guy in the world, but he's a slab of meat, that dude. So I thought maybe there was a possibility. But I'm very excited about Ricky Starks being in it. And I thought the match was solid. I agree that the crowd was probably just like a little bit for this, but the finish I thought was fantastic. And that's 2 matches in a row now where we saw what he did with the lethal injection. That was very, very cool. Mm-hmm. And the finish of this I thought was just great as well. So always great to see Ricky Starks on my TV. Can't complain about that. And him being on AEW Dynamite, I feel like is a very good sign because he's someone I don't want getting lost as these like bigger names come in. Like I want to be very important to AEW. And I think he is, and I think he's showing why. So good stuff.
Schlong, anything about this match you want to call out?
Nothing particular about the match itself. I'm just torn on the outcome. I wanted my Hoss ladder match where it was just all these giant men doing giant men things, and Vance was really the last one that we could have entered in. I mean, Archer, but he doesn't count because he was never a possibility. So just a little depressing, but at the same point, Starks is just so incredible. He is, I'll say it over and over, if you put him in the TNT title feud now, it makes sense. if he gave him a bunch of wins and put him in the world title feud, you'd have to give him proper wins, but it would make sense. He's at that level. They just need to use him. So I'm glad that he got a win and he's going to be in, but wrinkle upon wrinkle, now you have 2 Team Taz guys in there. Little conflict over who's going to get the win, because I don't think either one of them is going to win.
Hook. Send Hook, baby. But I do just want to note that Ryan didn't love something.
It's true.
I mean,
it was because I love each outcome equally, and therefore my love got cut in half.
You're like, wait, I can explain.
Yeah,
must justify. This was an amazing
things. Yeah,
this was an amazing Dynamite. I don't want to say it's almost coming across like I didn't like this Dynamite. They just made a couple. This one was just purely like both outcomes were amazing, but between the Hangman feud and the Tag Team Battle Royal, it wasn't like I didn't. Not Hangman feud, Hangman promo. It wasn't things I didn't like. They just somehow made decisions that go against my natural inclination. And I was like, no, that's the first time I've done that. This was not that. This was that both outcomes seemed amazing to me. Like, I want Vance in the ladder match, but I want Starks in the ladder match. They literally gave me a match where I wanted both guys to win, which is great. Gave me a reason to cheer, but also was very sad when I lost my Hoss ladder match.
It's like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
Yeah. I apologize. Lost. They actually did that, by the way. The 3 Spider-Man from that meme came out today. But I don't know. I got lost in my own thoughts when I was explaining why I didn't dislove things. Did we talk about the promo after?
Not yet.
No, because it happened a little bit later. We will certainly talk about
it. I got lost in my explaining of how I did love it, actually, Kate.
He did love it. He did love it. Just
better.
Split it up. Okay, we go on from this to a little bit of a backstage segment. Nothing, just storylines continuing. Red Dragon are celebrating with Adam Cole, who doesn't look too pleased. Thank you, Kate. And that's when the Young Bucks roll in. And then they start to bicker, and Red Dragon says they'll have another chance next week, but Matt admits he's right, and that they're going to win and kick their ass in the match at Revolution. And that's when Adam Cole speaks up and says, hey, I can't be dealing with this. I have to worry about Adam Page. So you guys have to get along. And the two sides are still at each other's throats, but everybody splits up, and Adam Cole's left there by himself, annoyed at this whole situation. So clearly we're still building the story. We'll see how it goes next week. We talked about that earlier. So I don't think we need to break it down any further. We move on from this, though, to the TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus the Bunny. And let's cut to the end of the match here. Jade Cargill, after a back-and-forth match all night, and it looked like the Bunny had her fair chances to win this. Jade Cargill wins by pinfall with Jade to retain her TBS Championship. Post-match, poor Tony Schiavone gets in the ring, but Jade says to shut the hell up and takes the mic. And she says, she's asking who's next, or better yet, who's left. And that's when Tay Conti comes in. She says she's not just next, she's the one who's going to beat Jade's ass. And she runs to the ring, gets in Jade's face. They jaw at each other. Jade kisses her on the forehead, and they start to brawl. That's when the Bunny jumps in to attack Tay. But the Bunny eats the Tay KO. And then Jade hits the pump kick, takes her belt back, and then Anna Jay comes down just to make sure that nobody's going to do any more beatdowns. So, guys, what did we think about this match? Let's go to Schlong first. Thoughts about the match and the thought of Tay Conti being the next challenger for Jade Cargill.
I liked the match. I think Jade continues to improve. I like that they're doing with the TBS title what they did with the TNT, which is that the challengers come from both sides of the aisle, heel and babyface. It's not a title about story so much as it's a title about the title. So I enjoyed it. Nothing out stood out. Just it was a good match, and nothing that stood out negatively, which I think is really the positive. With Jade, is like the more she can have matches where there's no negative, is a huge thing. Tay being the challenger is interesting because I really thought we were setting up for another debut. Because when you hear who's left, that is like the prime time where someone like Athena's music hits or something. You're like, boom, someone who walks in. However, I guess beating Tay really does set up the whole thing of like who is left, who is left in this company. If Tay, and you don't want to use up all your debuts at the same time, but that isn't a bad person to go against. It'll be an interesting match because Tay is all about the kicks and all, and that would be a good, interesting style clash of Jade, who you want to knock her base out from under her. So I'm very interested in the match. And the kiss on the forehead was so arrogant and so condescending. I loved it.
I liked that the Nux didn't play like a tremendous role in the outcome of the match. That was refreshing. That was huge, actually. I was getting very sick of that. Bunny's really grown. Yeah, it was nice that it wasn't it was basically a non-factor here because we've just seen them so predictably come into the picture. But Allie has really, really grown in the ring since the beginning of her reign here. She's been doing really well. So that's always just encouraging to see. Match was fine. The kiss on the forehead thing that Ryan talked about is so true. That what an arrogant son of a bitch thing to do to someone. Tay being a challenger is interesting. I think she's going to get destroyed. I don't know how I feel about that, but it feels like I think the debut thing might still happen because I think that's going to be Jade's 30th win. And then she's going to destroy Tay, give there's nobody else left in the company. I'm 30-0. And then like Athena or someone shows up. I think it's still very, very possible. But I think Tay is how you maybe get there. But this was fine. Jade's not outstanding, but she's getting better. Working with Bryan Danielson can't make you worse. That's for damn sure. And the pump kick always looks great. And I think the green hair is very fun. I think it's fun that Jade has green hair. Why not? I'll take it.
Well, she's also money. So
there it is.
That's Jade. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Tay Conti. I think clearly Jade retains over Tay, and I agree with both of you. I think somebody's coming. It's just a matter of when. All right, guys. Schlong, here's the point where you wanted to talk about Ricky Starks backstage. Keith Lee gets interviewed, and he lists off some of the other entrants in the ladder match, and that's when Starks and Hobbs roll up and tell him that Team Taz runs things around here, and no matter where you come from, you start over here. Ricky Starks also mentioned that he is well aware of who Keith Lee is. They're familiar with each other. I think he even said new territory, same face. So Hobbs steps up and to Keith Lee, and that's when Ricky gets between him and says, they're going to save it for Revolution. We're going to go. And that's the end of that little confrontation. Now, Schlong, Ricky Starks, clearly the smallest man in this match. Keith Lee is
the second smallest man in the world. No, I'm just kidding.
Keith Lee right now could be the second to Hobbs, maybe, or maybe equal size when you kind of look at them. So there's some interesting things that are lining up here for this ladder match. What'd you think about this kind of little backstage promo? Also talking about the fact that Keith Lee and Ricky Starks have a little bit of a history knowing each other.
So I want to talk about this for two reasons. One was Ricky Starks' amazing impression of Keith Lee. I don't think it can go without saying. And two is, I don't know if it was the camera framing or what, but I think this was a good way to display how big Keith Lee is, because you put him up next to someone like Hobbs, who is known for being a big guy, and you'd be like, oh, he is as big. I think they're probably about equal in size, and I think that's great going into this, that obviously everyone knows Keith Lee is big, but it doesn't hurt people who maybe didn't watch WWE to see him lined up against another big guy to be like, no, he really is. So that's why I pointed out, I think it was just because obviously the actual substance of what they said was meaningless. It's just trash talk before a match they're both going to be in. But I think what it accomplished, one, like you said, giving some history to Ricky Stark's amazing impression, I think that mattered to me. And three, I think showing Keith Lee's size is just, I think it accomplished everything it wanted to for in a couple seconds.
Yeah, he's got to be the biggest guy in the company, right? Except for like maybe like Paul White or whatever. But like, I think Keith Lee's the biggest dude they've got now. I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, full size. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Like, I'm not talking necessarily height, right? I think there's some guys who are maybe a little bit taller.
Yeah, like Lance Archer and
right.
It's got to be
Lance Archer, by the way, one of the only people we ran it through in or ran by in Atlantic City, who was like, I think the first person I was like, wow, he's actually bigger than I anticipated. Everybody else was like much smaller than I thought. But
yeah, you were
Lance
just
Archer,
like,
whoa,
whoa.
like, holy fuck, he's big. Yeah, I mean, listen, just hyping up they're continuing to hype up this ladder match, which is fantastic because I think it's gonna be out of this world. So let's get to it. I'm fucking ready.
Hell
guys,
yeah.
It's time
for your
main event. And it's Garcia versus Danielson. So clearly these are two guys I think who have very similar styles. So I was really hyped up for this one, especially because they announced this, I feel like really late today. This was an exciting one to find out about late. A lot of back and forth here during the match. It does wind up being Garcia does battle back. He does get a lot of offense, and he does put Danielson through some submission holds to make you think like, holy shit, does he actually have a chance? But at the end of the day, cattle mutilation on Garcia, nowhere to go. He gets the rope. They start to go back and forth. And I mentioned the cattle mutilation, by the way, because it's such a goddamn cool looking move.
It's so cool.
It's awesome. He gets the rope. They start to trade forearms back and forth. Eventually, Garcia is able to get, or Danielson is able to get Garcia on the mat. He does the stomps to the face, applies the triangle. The Dragon wins by submission with the triangle choke. In post-match, he demands the music gets cut, tells Garcia that was exactly what he wanted to see, and then asks the crowd if Daniel Garcia was violent enough. That's when 2.0 make an attack from behind to beat Danielson down. And who makes the save but John Moxley? So Mox sends 2.0 packing, and that's when Danielson or Garcia is about to attack Moxley from behind with a chair, but Danielson stops him, and then Moxley eats a paradigm, or I'm sorry, Garcia eats a paradigm shift from Moxley. It would be pretty impressive if Moxley did it to himself.
That would be, I think, like physics defying.
It would be like having a match against the Invisible Man, or
it's true.
A social distancing match.
I love a good social distancing match.
So Danielson and Moxley are facing each other in the ring. The Dragon gets the mic and says that if they need to bleed together, he doesn't need a chair to make anyone bleed. And if Mox wants a match at Revolution, he's got it. But he's not going to be the one who's bleeding. They go forehead to forehead as the booth hypes up the card for the next couple days. They went like a minute or two over tonight. They never really run over, but they needed to get this in. I was getting very nervous they were just going to cut the feet. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But that's the show, folks. It was quite a main event for something that, like I said, I didn't necessarily know about until late today. So I thought this was very enjoyable. Kate, you are, I think, a Danielson mark. I think we can get you there now. So what did you think about this match?
Oh my gosh, and a Garcia mark, man. This was fantastic. I think when you have two guys that are as A, technical as the both of them, and B, as focused on winning the match if that makes any sense, as these two guys are. There's a lot more tension built, and for me, it makes it a lot more exciting. Like, I just love that style of wrestling where it seems like the two guys are trying to go out there and win the match. I'm not anti-flippy-do bullshit. I'm amazed by a lot of what people can do athletically. But as far as a match goes, like, this is right in my wheelhouse. I thought this was so great. The cattle mutilation is unbelievable. You completely called that. What a fantastic move. I said it ad nauseum, but another situation here where we saw, like, being able to use a bunch of different finishers makes a lot of really interesting near falls because you feel like he could win at any moment. So valuable. And Garcia's just fantastic. Like, what a bright future that guy has. Now, there was a rumor, confirmation that Jonathan Gresham was backstage tonight. He did not debut, but when there were 3 minutes left, I was like, oh shit, is Jonathan Gresham coming out here? Because that would make sense with everything that has been going on. I still think that's where the story might be headed. Sometimes people just hang out backstage. Usually those people end up debuting in a couple weeks from when they were. But I was really, really excited when I had seen that and heard that. So I was hoping we were going to see it. And with 3 minutes left, I was like, maybe that's what's happening. And then Mox came out and I was like, there's no time left. So I hope that eventually we get there because I think Danielson Gresham is not only a dream match for the audience, but something that they both want and they've been open about. So I'm waiting for that day and I will be very happy. But you probably also don't want to waste that the same day that you have Bud Matthews coming out. So in no offense to the people of Connecticut, but like in Bridgeport, Connecticut on free TV. Like it's not like All Out where you're spilling debuts. But a fantastic match. This Danielson run has just been unbelievable. And Daniel Garcia, for a 23-year-old kid or whatever he is, has just looked never like the moment was too big for him and never like he couldn't hang with anybody that he's been in the ring with. Just really, really impressive. I would love to see Danielson pry him away and use Lee Moriarty and make a stable out of that. I think that would be really, really fun. If that's where this heads with Mox, I think that could be great. So here's hoping that's what we get, but what a fantastic way to close out Dynamite. And I just kept forgetting this was our main event because the show was so good. And I was like, holy shit, we get to close with Danielson and Garcia tonight. So when it finally rolled around, I was just like, oh my God, it's time already. This episode absolutely flew by for me. So, but yeah, what a fun way to close it out.
Now, Schlong, Kate tried to steal it, but you are a Daniel Garcia mark. And I know we've seen what Garcia can do on TV. We witnessed him at New Japan in Philly live. I didn't have any doubt that he'd be able to hold up tonight, but I definitely think he showed me more than I anticipated in this match. Not that I didn't think he could hold his own with Danielson, but you never know what you can get, right? So what'd you think of the match? I'm assuming that you love this, but I don't want to assume. And that's not a shot.
I mean, this is one I think I have to love.
That's not a shot. I sincerely am saying I think you love this because you're a fan of Garcia as I am, and this was maybe some of the best work I've seen out of him.
This was incredible. It just was two guys who are amazing at what they do, clicking, which, like you said, sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes two guys who should be awesome together just aren't. For whatever reason, they don't click, but they did. The funny thing, the weird thing is, in the story wise, Garcia never needed to be more violent. He's a violent character. 2.0 what really isn't, but Garcia has been. So it was kind of funny to be like, no, he's not like Wheeler Yuta or Lee Moriarty. Like, he's got that streak in him where he's willing to do some stuff. But it was nice to see him be able to use that, and he is so intense. I mean, he is like, he's got that Kurt Angle intensity when he's in the ring. And I think most people were already sold on him, but it's probably that next level where you see that he is truly, I'm trying to think of another word for elite so that I don't use elite, but he is truly elite at that level. He is that good. So it was awesome. I won't call it, we guys called out the best moments. I won't call out that. Just more, it felt like a match of two guys. Like they managed to put in the story that this was two guys trying to show each other what they had, which doesn't always come across, and I think it did. But my question is, does this mean we get Wheeler Yuta next?
Ooh.
Could be, because they've been going through all the people that Danielson has mentioned. So it's definitely possible. And I think we could see something good out of Wheeler Yuta too. I mean, he's not a slouch either. Definitely doesn't come across as violent as like a Daniel Garcia, but please sign me up for that. I mean, everybody that's gone in the ring with Danielson has looked like a star, you know? So give me it. Give it to me, Schlong. Give me what I want.
Give him the schlong.
I mean, that'd be the three people named, and they would be three amazing matches. We need something to do with these guys. So if you want, I mean, they're all part of someone, but like we're now seeing what these guys can do, and these matches should be on your TV almost weekly, or at least somewhere weekly. I don't care if they get these guys on their own YouTube show or something. Just please show these guys wrestling all the time, because they're just at a level that they need to be constantly doing it.
I just want to go back and read Danielson's matches to date, because this is ridiculous. Danielson versus Omega, obviously insane.
Killer.
Danielson versus Nick Jackson was like sleeper good.
Also killer.
I'm just going to do singles matches. Danielson versus Fish was great.
Good, yep.
Aaron Solo was short but fine.
Mm-hmm.
Danielson versus Bowens, amazing.
Really good, yep.
Danielson versus Rocky Romero, ridiculous.
Good.
Danielson versus Miro was fantastic on pay-per-view.
That was.
Danielson versus Uno, really good. Yep. Danielson versus Cabana, Danielson versus Angels, solid. Danielson versus Silver, we were there for that. All those Dark Order matches were like, for him, average but great matches. Adam Page, Lee Moriarty, and Daniel Garcia. What a list. Jesus.
Just a lot of good wrestling on that list.
He hasn't been here that long.
Yeah.
Like the amount of Danielson versus Bowens was fantastic. You know what I mean? And that was like, I think a Rampage quote unquote throwaway match to open the show, but like, my God. And that I didn't even see Suzuki on there, but obviously the Suzuki match too.
Going to say something I don't mean, but it almost holds true, is he's almost having too many good matches, because we're forgetting how good some of those early matches were because he had so many good matches late. It's like he just refuses to put in a stinker, which again, I'm not actually saying he should, but it's just kind of funny. Like Kate named some of those. I'm like, oh yeah, that was awesome. Yeah,
that Nick Jackson match was fantastic, but it doesn't even like register because
the Miro match
so much. Yeah, the Miro match was ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's next level, but he's also showing through Garcia, Moriarty, hopefully Yuta, Bowens, the Dark Order guys like Angels. He's showing all the young talent they have there that can really go at high levels. And I am going to say it again. We need my bangers division. Or I've reframed this. Give them their own 1 hour YouTube show. Just guys at that level. Put a belt on it.
Man, I don't know though. There's just so much content already. If you eliminated one of the Darks, hate to say that, but like there's just so much happening. I want a tournament. Like I want a Super Juniors tournament really, really bad. Or something similar to that.
That's fine. If you want to do a because you could do a tournament that lasts a while. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it doesn't have to be single elimination. I don't know the Super Juniors rules, so maybe their Super Juniors isn't single elimination. I don't know how that works.
Well, is their super.
Yeah, they're not
I can't
average.
Punch through a screen,
super.
but I want to. But if you do I don't want to. I know Impact years, and I'm not stealing this, years ago did like that point thing, and it was ridiculous. But if you do a tournament where it's either multiple elimination or like a point scheme or something, where these guys over the course of the next 3 months, this is their tournament, then you're using them, but you're also you could put it over a couple different things. Not everything has to be on Dynamite. Not everything has to be on Rampage. You can use Dark. You can use Elevation because people will seek out those matches. But like you said, it's not adding too much additional programming. It's all filtered throughout. And then the big matches, of course, take place on Dynamite.
I dig it.
Well, just to clarify, Kyle K. Sparks believes the Super Juniors is 2 blocks round robin with winners of each block meeting in the finals.
Yep.
Matt is listening to me not know the rules. If he is listening to this
afterwards,
rules.
And he's infuriated.
You got to know your
rules. If you don't, what does he say? You're gonna.
You can buy a.
No, I don't remember.
Is it? Now I have to look this up. We can go into news and notes.
Like, anyway, what an episode of Dynamite tonight. And there are a few things to call out as far as news and notes. They did mention tonight the plans for Double or Nothing coming up in May. It will be a week of shows from Las Vegas. It will be the Vegas debut.
I was right. Sorry.
What?
You'll be eating in your sleep.
I just didn't know what the last word was, but I noticed you'll be eating.
Learn your rules. You'll be eating in your sleep. I had to look it up.
Oh,
because I always want to goat with goat, and I'm like, it's not goat, but it flows better. I remember it not flowing right.
In your sleep.
Oh man. So Double or Nothing, they announced, will be taking place for 3 events in Vegas. The Vegas debut of Dynamite and Rampage. That will be Dynamite on the 25th of May, Rampage on the 27th of May, live. And then Double or Nothing will be live on pay-per-view Sunday, May 29th. Tickets go on sale for these events March 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, AEWTix.com. And it should be noted, Dynamite and Rampage will be taking place from Mandalay Bay. The Double or Nothing pay-per-view will be the T-Mobile Arena. So they're going for the big room in Vegas for the pay-per-view. I personally don't think they'll have trouble selling tickets to that event.
No, not now. Not with like life being a little more open, I think. Go for them. That's an exciting jump.
So we're flying out to Vegas?
I mean, I was going to say half jokingly, are we planning a trip to Vegas? But I love fucking Vegas. So I would certainly go. There are a lot of good places to eat. There are places to stay. I fucking love Vegas.
It's also super affordable. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because they want you to gamble all your money away. When is Double or Nothing?
The pay-per-view is Sunday, May 29th. Is the 30th, Memorial Day?
2 weeks after my birthday. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I just know I'd be the only person to go to Vegas for 3 days and only see wrestling.
So here's what I could... Have you been to Vegas, Ryan?
No, because it's not really my scene.
Ryan, I'll tell you this much. I went a couple years ago with Mrs. Money, and I gambled $1, and the $1 I gambled was on like this mechanical horse racing machine. The only reason I did it was because they used to have the same type of machine on the Point Pleasant Boardwalk.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Money and I would sit there and just, play, like it was for tickets, right? It wasn't real gambling. You would just play. You bet on these horses. There were like 5 mechanical horses, and
they had them at a couple boardwalks I go to. Yeah,
they're the best.
It's for the listeners who don't know. You just put in your quarter, and then you'd pick like horse 1 through 5, and then you'd hit the button, and like, the horns would play, and then the bells, the bell would go, and they would just go around this little track. And eventually someone would pick up speed and win. So they had the same thing in Vegas, Ryan. And I bet $1. That was all the gambling I did. We were there for a long weekend because it was Labor Day, I think. The rest of the time, walked the strip, looked at all the hotels. There's so much stuff just to see in the hotels. Ate a lot of great fucking food. Ate In-N-Out Burger twice or 3 times. Honestly, maybe every fucking day I was there, I had an In-N-Out Burger. They had the giant Ferris wheel we did, which was fun. Also, we took in a show. You don't have to gamble, Ryan. It's a lot of fun. We also hung out at the pool during the day because the weather was nice. It's fun.
What about the Celine Dion residency?
That was not there. You know who we saw in Vegas? We went to see Penn and Teller.
Oh, that's fun. That's like a classic. Yeah.
You don't have to be in Vegas for Celine, because near, far, wherever you are.
Sorry, there you go.
The thing is, it's just like in the Northeast, there are nights when the wind is so cold that my body will just freeze in bed, and I'll just listen to it right outside. I really thought Ant was going to cut me off, but here we are.
I don't even know which song that was.
So, yeah.
Oh, come on. If I kiss you like that.
I know the chorus. I don't know any of the other words to that.
Yeah.
I love this from Rob Humphrey. Ryan, we're gonna need you to stay up while everyone else is.
I want to point out that this has gone from Rob supporting me and being like poor Ryan to now Rob being like no.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to go. Yeah. He's like no, you're not allowed. We're putting a lock on this.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, Vegas is fun, Ryan, and you don't have to gamble or do any of that stuff. Like there was so much, and there was still stuff we wanted to see and didn't get to. Like there's a whole thing they have with just all the old neon like signs that they
the Neon Museum or whatever. I want to go to that really bad.
We didn't get to it. So guys, we're planning a trip to Vegas.
So we're going to Vegas, and Rhiannon's going to come, and then everything will be paid for because Matt's wife cleans up at gambling. We learned.
So moving on. So that's double or nothing. Plan whatever you got to plan to get there. The other news is Kate said the rumors were that Jonathan Gresham was backstage tonight. Sources were pretty strong. He was there. Nobody was really sure what was going on. He was visiting, or if there were other discussions being had. However, the other news of the day was that there is sources are saying there is concrete information that Shane Swerve Strickland is close to signing a contract to start with AEW next month, meaning March. So the deal, it's said, has been sort of expected since January, would go into effect the first week of March. That's before the March 6th Revolution pay-per-view in Orlando. So it could be he signs and maybe shows up there. There's also interest in Swerve because he's seen as sort of like a crossover star. So perhaps there's a thought that he could fill in, like slot for maybe Roads to the Top, right? They put in some other reality show that he could fill in. But either way, it's interesting because Swerve and Gresham, I believe, are both due for the Terminus show that's taking place in Atlanta. So, we'll see what happens. We know that TK, Cocaine Cowboy Tony Khan, teased a massive news last week, as Kate alluded to at the start of the show, but that is not believed to be any of the signings or debuts that we've seen. Something else, which I also wanted to fantasy kind of go through with you guys. But as far as this news goes, not Gresham, the Swerve thing, I think that's pretty much a win in anybody's book. I mean, now you've got Buddy Matthews. Now you're going to bring Swerve in. There's the possibility that Gresham gets involved in some way. I mean, all of this is good. I mean, in my book, this is all good, right?
Swerve's unbelievable. Yeah, he was, and he did really well in NXT. He just got released 4 weeks after he got called up to the main roster or whatever. But he was like the hottest indie name probably when he signed with NXT before AEW even existed. Had a really successful run there. He and his faction, and I say he and his faction because the faction needed him, not the other way around, very clearly. They got called up, he got released. I feel like AEW is an obvious fit for him. So much charisma, incredibly multifaceted, just an obvious signing. And yeah, crossover star for sure. Like, he's definitely someone that has mainstream pop culture appeal and unbelievable in the ring. So very, very exciting for him and for us as an audience. But it is kind of like, I gotta be honest, like, I don't care at all about Kip Sabian returning. You know what I mean? Like, where are we on that piece of things is an interesting conversation to me. Because I don't want people to get lost, but it is like, you have to go get the best talent that's going to serve your program, right? So I'm just interested to see what happens as contracts continue to expire. Definitely didn't think Cody Rhodes was going to be leaving. So I can't imagine. I didn't think anybody lower than that was going to be leaving really either. But I guess we will see what happens.
Schlong, Swerve, yay or nay?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can hate on this guy. He's so talented. He managed to be super talented with what they had him doing in NXT. So he was even better before that. I saw a couple of people being like, "I'll bring all of the Hit Row." No, don't bring all of Hit Row. I don't have a problem with them,
No.
but like Swerve deserves his own thing. He's instantly to me like a TNT guy, and that's that's a compliment of like, I mean, sure, world title one day, but like I could see him instantly walk in and be like TNT title contender, win it, defend it a bunch, just be that guy. To Kate's point, you do have a lot of talent now. You got to question where they go. Now, Cody leaving not only frees up TV time, actually, it's Cody and Brandy. So we got to always remember she gets into it too, because she ate up a lot of TV time too. So you're probably talking about 20 minutes or more a night of a Dynamite, maybe even like 10 minutes on a Rampage. So maybe like a half hour a week of those two that is just gone. Plus, they both made a lot of money. So now that money can go to, I mean, these signings were probably happening anyway, but now you have some money for these guys. This is where I don't want to go on a diatribe, but I will go on a quick one because Kate brought up the Kip Sabian and stuff. I'm not asking for more programming. I was with my 1 hour banger show, but I'm okay with the tournament. But I would like to see them be a little bit stronger on the formatting of Dark and Elevation. And let guys like Kip Sabian have, like, I don't know which show you do it to. To me, I think you would build on Dark and blow off an Elevation in front of like the live crowds. But have a guy like Kip Sabian and whoever you want have an entire feud on Elevation. I mean, on Dark. Not as a negative, but like, let him, because they still get seen by hundreds of thousands of people. So if he gets really over on Dark, like the Ass Boys, like Will Hobbs did, like Red Velvet, like all these people, then he can move up. You don't need to have every Dark doesn't need to be filled. Like, you could still have your squashes, you could still bring in your indies talent. Hell, Kip Sabian could beat some of that indie talent himself and still be developing a story, but you don't need to have everyone be just filled with squashes from your main roster. I think the people at those tapings would be happy just to see one or two main roster people there, and like a Kip Sabian feud and they said, like, I don't know what Peter Avalon's contract is, but like this past week's Dark had Dark and Elevation both had wingmen, and I think his contract came up. So they very clearly do, I still think, use the per appearance basis, which is great because again, if these guys catch fire, it makes it easier for them to come back. But I just think those shows are primed for their underutilized talent. And I think you can make money on those shows to pay for that talent if they're getting the kind of views they get. But Swerve, going back to Swerve, he's got potential to be such a big name in this company that, especially AEW, that values in-ring stuff so much, and he is so good in the ring, that I not getting him would have been a huge mistake.
Yeah, a couple of things that came up in the discussion here. Like Kate said, it'll be interesting to see what happens with these contracts as they start to expire. I clearly think they're going to let contracts expire that maybe they had some guys signed during the pandemic, right, where guys weren't working regularly and it was sort of like a safety net, and it was also then talent that AEW had on hand to use as needed. So I think a lot of those guys, will start to fall off the books. Probably not large contracts, but contracts nonetheless that'll come off, right? The other thing is too, I think we said it last week when kind of the news broke about TK, mentioning something big coming. I think they're going to have to sign a new deal with Warner within the next year, right? So there could be an increase in cash from that too. I think there were rumors out there that said that TK was going to avoid spending large sums of money on contracts without having sort of like that new deal sort of in place. So there is potential for there to be more money coming this way. Ryan's right with obviously Cody and Brandy not coming back. You know, that frees up a little bit of, you know, essentially cap space, right? So there's that. So we'll see how it shakes out. I agree with you, Ryan, on the formatting for like dark. Like that certainly should have its own kind of stuff going on. Now, the other thing about TK's big announcement. So I think nothing's been said, right? But we haven't talked necessarily about it. So I wanted to throw something out there. I don't think it's possible to ever happen, but how much would it fuck the world up? So the thought is that he's going to be announcing some like super card type thing, right? Some working relationship, maybe New Japan, something like that. But do you think people's minds would explode if the massive announcement is that Shane McMahon is involved with this promotion? Like, I don't think it's going to. I don't think there is a reality where that happens. But I think heads would explode. Like the thought of like Cody going to the WWE is massive news. Like this would that would be a drop in the bucket compared to the news of Shane moving to AEW.
Yeah, I think I heard that there people in AEW were being warned to not work with him. So I think that's not good. I think having him just on screen and not working backstage would be incredible. Just because of the pendulum swinging that way would be absolutely insane. Even if he just did it for like 3 months, if he was just around just for the move to happen. I have a feeling that's not it, because at the end of the day, he's still a McMahon, and I think Tony Khan's so protective of what goes on, he wouldn't want to risk the possibility that dude is now like some sort of mole. I think that the announcement is either going to be a super card, or my hope is that they're buying the ROH library as a way of launching their own network. That is my hope. Because that would be really, really cool. And Tony Khan would have the money to do it. But Shane McMahon, just for the momentum of what that would mean, is interesting. But I don't think that is what's going to happen.
No, I want to be very clear. I don't think there's any possibility that's happening.
But if it did...
But that would be like the most ridiculous, massive news. Would it
bonkers.
Not? My goodness.
Bonkers.
Anywho, they did announce the 2022 AEW Awards are open for voting now. So if you care to do that, you can go to aewawards.com, and they have a number of different categories. They have 12 categories. Guys, if you want to vote, we can vote on this. We can go through it.
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 12 categories. We can go through
it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, it's only 12. Let's do it.
Category 1, best moment on the mic. Your choices are CM Punk returns, Danielson calls out Omega.
CM Punk returns. CM Punk. Look, why are we going to debate this?
Wait a minute. You got to at least hear what the choices are. Chicago Mid-Punk returns. Danielson calls out Omega. Britt Baker welcomes fans to Britsburg. MJF thinks the Midwest is mid. And Eddie Kingston is sent to punish Miro.
I mean, yeah, it has to be. Though Redeem These Nuts will always have a special place in my heart.
It certainly will. Best Twitter follow: Nyla Rose, the Young Bucks, MJF, Britt Baker, or Orange Cassidy?
Nyla
is a great follow, but I would say Bucks.
Well, I'm just going to go with Nyla. Ryan's the expert.
Wow.
Nyla, see, the Bucks are great for their bios, but only their bios.
I know, but the bios are so good.
The bios are so good, but Nyla comes daily with funny puns, jokes, and insults to her fellow wrestlers.
That's a fair point.
Well, we voted Nyla, so there's no point. Biggest,
your damn self, Kate. I get it.
biggest beatdown. Men of the Year send Darby Allin on a trip. Bryan Danielson kicks out Colt Cabana's tooth. Pinnacle takes down Inner Circle at Blood and Guts. Hangman Adam Page goes 60 with Danielson. Or Thunder Rosa takes down Britt Baker DMD.
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
Lights Out or God, as much as I want to give it to Lights Out, I think Danielson and Page the Broadway has to be it, right?
I mean, that's where I'm leaning.
I don't have strong enough feelings to try to argue against that pick because it is. I guess the question comes, what is a beatdown? But like either match just took their toll on those people in 60 minutes. Like how do you go against 60 minutes?
60 good minutes.
Yeah, like 60 really fun minutes. So yeah, that works.
The vote's in. Biggest surprise: Adam Cole and Danielson debut. Darby Allin's return as the Invisible Man. The formation of the Pinnacle. The Young Bucks turn on Moxley, and Mercedes Martinez arrives in AEW. I mean, I think we can agree that it's got to be Cole and Danielson's debut.
Yeah, for the both of them at the same timeness.
Yeah.
No one saw Cole debuting at that moment. It was supposed to be just Bryan Danielson, so to have both.
How about the biggest WTF, or I'm sorry, biggest what the fuck moment? Matt Jackson tacked Travis Scott's shoe. MJF's Long Island homecoming. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston take a drive. And New Year's Eve street fight. And Hangman Adam Page turns down the Dark Order.
The shoe, right? The what the fuck moment has got to be the shoe.
Shoe's good. I was leaning towards MJF's Long Island homecoming because we were there.
All right, we were there. Let's do it.
Well, enough of us were there.
Most of us were. We were all invited is the important part.
That's very
I'll
true.
give you that one because I thought it was hilarious that he was a face.
All right.
Breakout star female. Jade Cargill, Jamie Hayter, Tay Conti, Chris Statlander, Red Velvet.
I feel like Tay.
Schlong, you have a...
How is it not Jade?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kate. I'm going to have to go Jade only for the fact that they put the belt on her. They thought so much of her that they put the belt on her, and she's continued to grow.
I guess, yeah, that's true. Tay is probably more like the most improved instead of a breakout star. Like she had the most growth that we've seen, I think.
Right. That was all right. We're category 7. Dante Martin, breakout star male. Dante Martin, Jungle Boy, Sammy, Ricky, or Hook. Hello. Votes in. It's Hook.
The fact that all 5 options weren't Hook is ridiculous.
I don't understand. Category 8, High Flyer, Penta, Dante, Ray Phoenix, Pac, or Riho. The fact that Riho's on this list is ridiculous. Should it be Dante Martin?
Oh, I was going to say Phoenix, but I can't argue with Dante.
Well, Schlong's nodding his head yes for Dante Martin.
I don't know how it could be anyone but Dante. That man just does things that aren't normal.
Guys, we're getting to the hard categories now. Best AEW fashion moment.
Danglers.
Tay Conti at Full Gear. This is a little sexist. Tay Conti is at Full Gear. Dr. Britt Baker in her Britsburg jacket. I don't know who this is. Hikaru Shida's anniversary dress. Chris Jericho is the Painmaker. Oh, that's Kate's choice. And then the Super Elite as the Toon Squad.
Oh, Toon Squad, right?
Schlong.
Yeah, I think Toon Squad because that's the one I can actually remember.
Yes. The only other one I remember is the Britsburg jacket, and that's mid because it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Best tag team brawl: the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers steel cage match. Lance Archer and Suzuki versus Moxley and Kingston. Well, I can stop reading. That's Kate's vote. Sting and Darby Allin versus 2.0. The Lucha Brothers versus Jurassic Express Tag Team Eliminator Finals. And the New Year's Eve street fight.
I got it. It's got to actually be Bucks versus Lucha Bros, right? That steel cage match was insane with the spikes on the shoes and stuff. That was nuts.
That was good. I'll vote for that. I thought you were certainly going Eddie Kingston.
No, as much as my heart, that was one of the best tag matches I've ever seen. Like, that was insane.
Let's see. Best mic duel. MJF and CM Punk on Thanksgiving Eve. Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. The Inner Circle and the Pinnacle have a parlay. Hangman Adam Page meets Bryan Danielson. And the Inner Circle call out Dan Lambert. It's definitely not Dan Lambert. I don't know Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. That's kind of whatever. I would honestly have to go Hangman and Bryan Danielson the first time they came together.
Britt and Ruby was pretty good. I can't remember any of the specifics. That was when we were in Newark, so we couldn't hear it. Oh, we were sitting separately, though. We couldn't hear it live, but she was like, you're like everybody else sleeping with someone in the back. But whatever. That's fine. I can go with Hangman and Danielson. Oh, the heel turn happened with that. Yeah, do that.
Schlong, what do you think?
I think that's probably the right call. I mean, I think just for the implications, you have to go with that one because of what it did for Danielson.
Because of the implications.
The implications. Okay, guys, this is the big one. Wrestler of the Year. There are more choices in this than what we've been giving. Bryan Danielson, Britt Baker, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, Darby Allin. I don't know who the Shida person is, but Shida and Miro.
Phil isn't on there?
Who? Phil?
Phil.
No. The mid guy's not on there.
I'm going Omega.
I'm going Danielson. That list I read off before, he wrestled more times than Omega did last year, but you're splitting hairs. Like, I'm not mad about it.
I hate to do this to you, Kate. I have to go Omega only for the sheer fact of knowing everything he was wrestling with.
I'll give you that. That's fine.
Like, the fact that he was so injured and, like, you know, now
still doing that.
Yeah, and he's got to have surgery on something else, and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks after that surgery still. Like, he's just dealing with so much stuff. All right, well, we voted. If you want to vote, go to AEWawards.com and negate all of our choices. Let me see here. Sorry, I lost what I was reading. Actually, it's funny. This is just what I was talking about. So Kenny Omega told the Wrestling Observer he needs surgery, still needs surgery, hasn't done it yet, for his umbilical hernia. He won't be able to return for 6 to 8 weeks after that happens. I have no fucking clue what an umbilical hernia is, but it can't be good.
Did he give birth? An umbilical?
I have no clue what that is, and I'm not Googling it.
I feel like that's going to be gross if I Google it.
Probably not, but, like, again, just the fact this guy's wrestling with a hernia, that can't be good.
No, and a vertigo. What?
Also, the rumor mills were swirling that while Cody Rhodes did have supporters in the locker room, the Observer newsletter says that a lot of the talent quietly were celebrating the exit. The hero treatment was given to him by some in the company after he left is a great public story, but not the real story. Again, take that with a grain of salt. That's from the Observer. Kate, Chicago Mid-Punk is going to be part of the inaugural Ring of Honor Hall of Fame class. Congratulations. He's mid and he still made it.
He's fantastic. And it's him, Danielson, and the Briscoes, right? What a perfect first class. Like,
yep.
That's awesome.
So the class, as you said, it's the Briscoes, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe.
Oh, that's right. And Joe.
And Chicago Mid. I think there might be one more that they're gonna announce, but maybe not. So either way, if that's the full class, that's a hell of a class.
Yeah, that rules.
Yeah, and for anybody who didn't see or hear it, Kenny was on the Wrestling Observer Radio podcast, and he talked a little bit about the exit for Cody, basically without going too deep into it. And the only reason I bring this up is because we talked about it last week. Like, eventually things will start trickling out, and we'll get kind of the full picture. But basically, Kenny, to boil it all down, Kenny says he believes that it wasn't really about the money, but there were conflicting visions around how the company would be handled, or how, kind of the directions they would be going. And that really, really Cody had a different vision of what that would be. And that's really what kind of caused the exit. So nothing more to report there, except for the fact that if you want to hear the whole thing, it's on the Observer Radio. He did a whole interview talking about contracts and this and that, and so give it a listen if you like. But we'll start seeing the news out there. So that's it for me, unless anybody else has anything I forgot that you'd like to talk about.
I just want to say that I forgot to mention that Eddie Kingston dropped Willow Nightingale's name in that segment, and she's trending. I love to see that. How great is that?
Do you know how much I would love to see Willow Nightingale come in and get a shot at that TBS title? And
all
just
day.
Stay in this company?
Yeah.
Like, I goddamn love Willow.
Enough dark appearances. Sign the gal up. She's fantastic.
Well, I mean, what's her status with Ring of Honor, right? Is she, I don't know what, but that's the thing. I don't know what anybody's status is with fucking Ring of Honor. Right?
I don't know what anybody's status is in the world.
Who knows? Yeah, I love that he dropped Willow's name, and I thought maybe there was a chance at some point she would be for the TBS. So we'll see what happens.
Let's hope so.
All right, Kate, what do you got going on when you're not here? What do you want?
Oh my goodness! On Tuesdays, I'm on the NXT post show with Alex Pulaski on Fightful YouTube. Also on Fightful Overbooked, doing "Here's Why You're Wrong," which is like a count up. I keep saying count. Pointer count instead of point counterpoint show. 20-minute episodes with Joel Pearl. We did Brian Danielson versus Daniel Bryan this week, who had the better career. We did Hook and Tony D'Angelo last week. It's been really fun. So that's also on Tuesdays now. Wednesdays, of course, here, and then Fridays back on Fightful YouTube on the AEW Rampage and SmackDown post show. And I'll also be doing the Revolution post show over there as well.
Full slate for Kate. Ryan, what do you got going on?
Not that. Jesus.
You're telling me.
On Mondays and Tuesdays, I live tweet Dark and Elevation from Mark Order Pod. And then I'm here on Wednesdays. And that's about it.
And he doesn't get invited to the live shows or anything like that.
Yes, he does.
He totally does.
Never.
Fucking
Totally.
Mark.
Kate, did you actually, maybe you went over it too fast. Did you tell people where they can follow you if they want to find you?
Oh, at Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter.
There you go.
And on all the socials in the world.
All the socials. Ryan mentioned it. You can find us at Mark Order Pod on our socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Where Matt will be shaking his ass.
Hopefully. We're going to work on it. Let's get him we'll give him a couple of those Cayman Jack margaritas.
Spicy margaritas, yeah.
Well, the spicy ones, we got the story on the spicy ones. That's Thursday nights when they go to the local watering hole. They do a spicy marg. So maybe we'll catch him one night when he's feeling good on a Thursday and he'll shake that ass. We didn't talk about the one chip challenge, but we'll talk about that when Matt gets back. It'll be old by that point, but we're
worth it.
So I mentioned it before. If you want these free stickers, or if you want to wait, maybe there's new stickers coming. I don't know.
You don't?
No, I do. I do know. You can go to our socials, to the link tree that we have in our profiles, and you can submit there to get some free stickers. Give us your name, your mailing address, the country you're in, just so we are very clear where these stickers are going. And and I will send them out to you ASAP. They are free of charge, so you just give us your address. We'll take care of the rest. You like that? I just thought of that one.
Beautiful.
And also, while you're in that link tree, hit us up on the other socials you might not be connected to us on, especially the YouTube. For those of you watching on YouTube, hello. Thank you to all our friends who we've been chatting along with all night. Let me name drop a couple of them. Rob Humphrey, Kyle K. Sparks. Let's see. Going back through the list.
Marky Mark
Kayfabe, yes. I'm sorry, Dan Janoff. I think I called you Don before, Dan, so my apologies. Asian Joe, all of our friends who've been watching us tonight, we thank you so much. It's a lot of fun when people chat with us and interact live. If you'd like to do that, definitely check out our YouTube page, subscribe, set up alerts, do whatever you got to do. But you can check us out on YouTube live at 10:15 every Wednesday, unless there's some sort of scheduling conflict. If you are listening to us in podcast form, we appreciate you too. Make sure wherever you're listening to us in podcast form, you subscribe, like, rate us, review us, do all those things because it definitely helps us out showing up in the podcast rankings. You can also find all of those links in our link tree. There you go. Trying to make it easier for you guys. So yeah, I mean, man, what a packed episode of Dynamite tonight. Do you guys think that we can keep this up for another week?
Oh,
like not
I
us.
don't know.
I shouldn't say us. Like we're actually putting on the shows.
We are. We produced it.
TK listens to us.
That's true. I don't know. I don't know if you want to because you got to keep it going into the pay-per-view, right? So
next week is not the go home, right?
Yeah, so
no,
I think
it is.
Holy crap, it is. Yeah, wow. It's the end of February.
Fuck. So,
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So next week has potential actually to be a down week. Remember sometimes we were like, oh, the week before. Actually, no.
It's usually this week. That's the down week.
This is bucking the trend. So I don't even know anymore. I have no clue, guys. What the fuck is going on?
I don't either. Tony Khan's a madman.
All I know is I thank Kate. I thank Ryan for being here. We thank Matt, who's, again, to quote Metallica, off to Never Neverland. I just wanted to say off to Never Neverland again. But hopefully we have a full crew next week. Hopefully we can wrangle Matt back. Maybe talk about that one chip challenge. If you didn't listen to the Shining Wizards on Monday, you definitely didn't hear about it. But check us out next week. We'll see if Dynamite is as good as it has been heading into the Revolution pay-per-view, and maybe we'll do some picks next week too, because we only get to do picks like 4 times a year. So, guys, a lot of fun. Thanks for joining. And sorry, I'm trying to make sure we're all set for the end. Yeah. All right, guys. Here, I'm all set now.
So Schlong and good night.
Oh, so Schlong and good night. Goodbye and good night.
This concludes the Mark Order podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.